Ashe Gems. It is the Sacral Empress or Ashanti here today. And this episode is probably one of the most important ones to me because it's been a theme in my life a lot recently. I've been seeing death a lot in my life, just as far as things around me, things I've been seeing on social media, and the transformation I'm having within myself. So this episode is sponsored by God because I feel like God has been showing me synchronicities left and right. And we have a special guest here today. I got my co-host Ty in the building.
You already know what's going on. It's your boy SolAzure, Cryptic or Ty. You already know what's going on.
Welcome. And we have another special guest here, Amethyst Rose or Paula. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So excited. I'm so excited, you guys. So for those that are here live in the audience, thank y'all for tuning in. I feel like this is going to be a treat for everybody here. So today's topic of discussion is death and rebirth. And as we all know, we are born and we have to experience death as well. And it's one of those things that has such a negative connotation surrounding it. So when people think of death, people get ooh and ah, and people get scared. And it's one of those things where for myself, I've even had to look at it differently. And see it as a transition for the soul rather than the end all be all. So we will be getting into some planets that correspond with transformation / death, and also more information about death from someone that has experienced it. So I think that this is going to be top tier, probably my number one episode, just in my mind, because this is something that's always fascinated me. And I have always just wondered, like, what happens after you die? Like, where do we go? Because we hear the concept of heaven and hell. So is there a heaven and hell? Is there really an afterlife? Do we just die and, there's nothing? So it's one of those things where we won't know until we experience it. And it's great that we have someone here today that will be able to give us some information on that process. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Ty, I'm going to hand it over to you so we can get into these planets. We're going to be talking about the outer planets. So I'm going to mute myself, Ty. The floor is yours.
All right. Hello, everybody. All right. So these outer the planets that move the slowest. I think they take like, I think Neptune is like 70 years. The other one is like 125. So they're really far apart. So like we don't really feel the effects, but I will say you can see how that has played out in your chart, though. I will say that, like, I've seen my Pluto third. I see it. I feel it. Okay, I've experienced. All right. So I think I'm gonna do Uranus. Uranus, whatever anybody wants to call it. That is a planet of what? Shock value, rebellion, right? Shock value, rebellion, progression, like progressive like values and ideals, humanitarianism. So wherever that is in your chart, it's a little it gets a little crazy. And wherever Uranus is, it's unpredictable. It's electricity going on in that house. So that means it's a lot of sudden changes. It's a planet of sudden changes. So wherever you have the planet in that house, it's bringing sudden realizations. It could bring turmoil and chaos. It could bring another opportunity out of the sudden thing that's happening. So you got to adapt. Like, life is unpredictable. So Uranus is trying to teach people, like, things are out of our control. Things do happen real quick. You just gotta, you gotta make it do what it do. That's what Uranus be teaching. That's why it's co-ruler of Aquarius, because they know that unpredictability. And okay, something just came up, I gotta do this instead, or something came up, I gotta spend this, and I really don't have it. The stuff like that. Also, it is the planet of rebellion because it goes against the grain. It's not a normal planet. It doesn't want to be normal. It wants to, I wouldn't even say it wants to show out, but it doesn't care what you think about it. It's not boggled down to a tradition like Saturn. It's not, Uranus is like, listen, I don't care about nothing you're talking about. I'm going to show up in my authenticity. I'm going to show up in my eccentricity. I'm going to be weird. I'm going to be weird and strange. And I don't care about nothing you're talking about. So wherever that is, you're a little more strange or weird, or you do it, or you think very differently in the house, or you approach it very differently wherever that house is, and it brings an otherworldly energy to the zodiac sign as well. Now Neptune, everybody's favorite planet, but the planet that people they despise a little bit at the same time. Neptune is that spirituality, illusions, dreams, fantasies, right? It's where you start to spiritually integrate with the divine, like, and you get cosmic and divine downloads wherever your Neptune is. But it also blurs things. It blurs things because of illusions and trauma at the same time that you can tap into your creativity. So sometimes you got to get through the fog. There's creative blocks. There's mental blocks, emotional blocks. Sometimes you got to get through. You got to see what the fog is trying to teach you. Sometimes. So if Neptune is, you pull a different level of creativity out of that house, and it's also there's something that you have rose-colored glasses about in that house as well. So for me, for example, Neptune in the 5th. That's dating. I might idealize my partners with dating. I might be like, oh, you're so beautiful and you're just this and that. But they might be doing something completely opposite. But I'm telling myself what I want to hear for the to like that person. You know what I'm saying? With Neptune in the 5th. Also, I can have creative blocks because Neptune is blurring. It's the inner child is in that house. So it's some inner child things that's blurred. It's some creativity that's blurred. I might not always be able to create when I want to until I, release certain things or actually sit down with the, with the mist, with the fog. I gotta actually sit down with the mist and actually go through it. So Neptune, sometimes you gotta go through the mist. You gotta see what's going on. I have Uranus there as well in the 5th. So the dating scene is not always consistent because also Uranus is not always consistency. So my dating life is not always consistent with the 5th house. My creativity is not always consistent. My inner child shows up differently. My inner child shows up more spiritual or very strange, sometimes. And I have to accept that. Now Pluto, the planet of the night, that is the god of the underworld, right? That is taking back your personal power. That is transformation. That is one of the main planets of death and rebirth. It's the co-ruler of Scorpio. So wherever Pluto is, you've experienced some type of domination, like being dominated or wanting to dominate, being controlled or wanting to control, some type of power dynamic, some type of power struggle. It's like you had to get it taken away so that you could see what you need to change and to bring it back into yourself. So for me, for example, Pluto's in the 3rd for me. That's my mind. I got to take the power back in my mind. I can't let anybody just infiltrate it. I can't let demons infiltrate it because Pluto is a dark planet. Can't let demons in there. You just can't. I can't. Also, how I talk to myself. Pluto in the 3rd. I can't be taking my own power away with certain negative thoughts, certain feelings. I can't do that to myself. Pluto in the 3rd. So I'm learning how to calm down and be like, would you want somebody to talk to you like that? Don't talk to yourself like that. And that's how I take my power back with Pluto in the 3rd. It's also a research planet too. Pluto's gonna do their research. Like I don't take nothing at face value when people are talking. I don't. I'm always looking to the deep. It's also the researcher planet as well, and like the kind of like a private investigator. Like Pluto's a private investigator. So listen, I don't take it's in the house of communication. I don't take nothing at face value when people be talking. There's be underlying factors. So also Pluto shows you where there's underlying factors. Also since it's the co-ruler of Scorpio, it's that sense of feeling intensity because also an intense planet. So it's intense in that house. So when it comes to my communication, I know I could come off it could be sometimes while Pluto in the 3rd. I'm like, okay, Todd, everybody can't handle the Pluto in the 3rd. That doesn't mean I should always calm it down. Doesn't mean I should always do that. But for the most part, I try to get the message across without scaring people away or being like a Dungeon Dragon. Like, no, there'll be a Dungeon Dragon all the time. So that's what I got to say about where Pluto is.
I love that. And see, these are the planets that I'm not so familiar with. So I know Venus, Mercury, I know them. I can tell you about them. I can tell them about your placements. But these outer placements is where I'm more like,
it gets a little wonky. Yeah, it does.
That's because the outer planets typically deal with us, celebration, that, the inner planets are more our personal, that has a direct impact on our personality, whereas the outer planets are more, the time that we're in and the person that we are during this time. So you spoke about Uranus. I'm an Aquarius. So when you talk about like rebellion and shock value and kind of marching to the beat of your own drum, I just was telling someone today that typically Aquarius boys more than anything get in trouble more because by nature they're very free spirited and independent, and it can come off as disobedience. So as an Aquarius mother, I just had a conversation with my daughter because I'm like, how is it having an Aquarius mother? Because we're very we give our children free rein to express themselves in any kind of way. But because Saturn is our traditional ruler, we do believe in discipline. We do believe in structure, but it's an order to that. So instead of me saying, do this, I give it's like you got to give them options so they feel like they have a choice in the matter. And then also with Aquarius, they're the humanitarians of the zodiac. So they are the only ones that carry a vessel. So here they are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they're constantly pouring into people. So it's extremely important that they keep their vessel full. And, they think of things from a group and collective effort, never from an individual basis. So when I do things, I'm always thinking, how is everybody else going to benefit? Because Aquarius rules community, friendships, group, all of that. So it's so intricate how it just all comes together and everyone is like woven in their own, because we all have some type of influence of all these zodiacs. It's just some are more stronger than other. But when you're able to recognize it by the planet, it makes so much sense. And I always tease because I always have done a side ponytail, always since I was little. And when I did research about Uranus being the only planet that rotates on its side, it makes so much sense because like astronomers and astrologers have been trying to figure it out for years. Like, how did this planet rotate on its side? But that's the nature of Uranus. He like, I'm about to move the way I'm going to move. Take it or leave it, but I'm tilting to the side. Everybody else can do your thing, but this is how I'm rocking and rolling. It's like, I respect that. I get it.
You gotta respect it. It's like, listen, I'm gonna do what I do. I don't know what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna me and don't try to control me when I do what I do because it's not hurting you. If it's not hurting you, you shouldn't be trying to control somebody if it's not hurting you.
That's a
Yeah.
fact.
And it's like Aquarius, we help other people be in their most authentic self. Like, be you, do you. When you see someone comfortable with who they are, there's two parts. You can be intimidated when someone is confident in who they are, or it gives you permission, like, oh, well, let me be me because they're absolutely them. It gives me the permission to be myself. Aquarius is like, do what you go do, hippie, free spirited, all of that. But we all should have that in life too, to some degree, So it's really interesting.
I want to touch on one more thing, like you were saying. Aquarius is also, like you said, the sign of like the collective and soul tribe. Like for you to tap in and align with your soul tribe, you have to show up as authentically you that does not care what nobody has to say. Because at that point, you're catering to people that don't resonate with you. The people that love you they're going to, come to you. Yeah, that's what Aquarius energy teaches me. Like, stand in your eccentricity, stand in your weirdness, stand in your strangeness, because the people that are supposed to be with you are going to come and they're going to see you and they're going to feel you.
Mm-hmm. It's so important. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot because Aquarius for me, I have a Libra sister and I have an Aquarius sister, and I'm a Gemini. So my mom had all her first three girls are just the air signs back to back. So with my Aquarius sister,
Y'all turn.
literally. So we're the Powerpuff Girls at that point.
That's
But with my Aquarius sister, she is like very, I wouldn't say detached from the family, but I know that when it comes to her relationships with my siblings, it's where everyone's like distant towards her, where it's like, oh, or it's one of those things where she'll try to reach out and it's not really reciprocated, or no one's really taking, you know, the initiative to care. So it's one of those things where, you know, it's always interests me because me and her were very close. So it's like I'm the sibling she'll go to if she wanted to talk about something or whatever. And my other sister, because we're close, and people will like think we're triplets or something, but we're all a year apart. So with that, it makes me think like with Aquarius, they, you know, they do walk by at the beat of their own drum. You know, they are really in their own lane. And that's why I love Aquarius. Like anybody that I come across that's an Aquarius, I always love them because they remind me of my sister, just off the strength of the placement. But you know, it's also too like I can relate as a Gemini because Geminis, we're ostracized. Like people will really try to like, oh, Geminis are weird, Geminis are two-faced, this, that, the third. So you know, I always see it as like, you know, like it's easier for me to, I don't know, it's easier for me to always like associate myself with those that are seen as like the black sheep or, you know, or the outcast or whatever. I always bond with those people better because I understand, I get that, you know, I relate. So I love that y'all talking about Aquarius because it just made me think of my sister. And I'm like, maybe I should call her after this. Because she's going through her own transformation right now. And, you know, one thing about me with my spiritual awakenings, I've noticed like it's always either a breakup or some type of death that initiates an awakening for me. And I remember she had messaged me. She's like, I'm ready to start my spiritual journey. And I was like, okay. Let's start, because you know it took me a while to get to this point. So you know, to be in the position that I am where people are coming to me for help and need my assistance, it's like whoa, because I have Aquarius in the second house. So is it, I don't know if it's my Uranus, but I have it in the second house.
It
And
is.
it's
It's
oh
with the
wow.
planet. It's in there.
So that's a very comfortable place for Uranus because that's home for him. So with it in the second house, you probably have a lot of stuff, little knickknacks, little things, maybe clothes, like naturally always attracting something. You have a really good opportunity to just continue to generate money and material possessions. And the lesson in that is how do you keep it and manage it, you know, because you're constantly second look you're getting
High nose.
care of what you have so you can continue to get more of what you desire. But first, because you are so used to having so much stuff, sometimes it's easy to kind of toss it to the side and not really care because you naturally always get things. So the lesson in that with Uranus being there is like, how do you express yourself most with the things that you possess? So maybe it's like you work hard, and after, you know, you work hard, you buy yourself a comforter or something, and you clean up your room and you look back and you see like, I worked for that. And it gives you a sense of like accomplishment when you see the things that you acquire, not necessarily putting your value in your material things, but this is showing you in the second house that, hey, you're going to have a theme throughout life that's regarding your possessions, your money, and material things, you know? So it's like, once you understand the theme, when certain things come up, you go look at transit. Oh, wait a minute. Hold one.
Okay. I was feeling that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I do that a lot too. Like, I remember, I think this was recent too. I was looking at my TV and I was like, I bought that. I bought everything in here. Like everything in here, I bought it. It's mine. Can anybody take it from me? And that was one of those things growing up where, you know, you get in trouble and your parent takes your phone or takes your clothes, takes some random stuff or restricts you in some way. So I've always experienced the restrictions, but now that I'm an adult and, you know, I get my own money and do whatever I want with it, it's like I look at it, I'm like, wow, like I really worked for this. Like the past 2 years, I've been self-employed. So it's one of those things where, you know, I'll get in my head about it and I'll get in my feelings and I'll be like, oh, I'm not making enough money, or, oh, I got bills, I got this, I got that. And then I'll be like, girl, look at all of this that you were able to acquire. Like you were able to have these things in your possession. Like, don't think that you can't pay your bills or, you know, furnish your own apartment or whatever the case may be, because I'll really get in my head and be like, I'm not gonna be able to get this or get that. And I think that's a big problem for me now, especially now I'm reaching that abundant mindset where, you know, I do align and attract the things that I want and desire. So I love that you brought that up, because it's one of those things where I understood it a little bit, but still with Uranus and like these outer planets, I'm very like, I have to learn more about them. But I'm glad Ty has explained it to where I get it and I understand it. but yeah, having that in the second house is one of those things where it's like I can get it, but I'm terrible with saving. I am working on that now. That I'm really trying now to save my
So
money
you can just
because
change that from saying I'm terrible at saving is that I'm learning how to have more better saving methods.
okay,
Just small little, because again, you're very powerful and our words create our world. So when you say you're
facts.
terrible, then that's what you're going to be. So
Right,
that's
right.
part of the lesson. So now you're more aware. And with it being Libra season, again, the sun is going to shine a spotlight like, hey, why don't you, let's reflect and see what areas, what do you need? What's, you can kind of put off to the side for a little bit, and just kind of where it's not this stripping and depriving. It's like, no, you're kind of like, you know what, for this month, I'll hold off on the coffee, or for this month, I'll hold off on this, so I can just kind of direct that towards somewhere else, because all of it works for you. And so that will be the lesson in it, because a second house placement is always going to attract. It's like, growing up in your mom's house, dad's house, they'd be like, my house, my rules. So you can't have a second house placement and not have the materialistic, the possessions, the values. It's going to automatically come. So the lesson in it is, how do I work that, throughout my life? It's so interesting because my daughter has a stellium like in her second house. And when I tell you she has so much stuff, and when I've always looked at her chart, but when it really hit me, because I have OCD a little bit, so it's like everything has an order, but then with it's so much stuff, it's stuff everywhere. So it's like, instead of me driving myself crazy, I'm like, she has a second house stellium. Oh, okay, it makes so much sense. So now I help her how to maintain it, manage it, take care of it, because she's always attracting things. So you can use that to your advantage too, and draw in the wealth, because it's like your wheel is lighting up like ding, 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 ding. Here you go.
Yeah.
You automatically are going to attract this. So some people have to, quote unquote, work a little bit harder to get material. You got a house sitting right in it. So it's like your home, it's yours. So it's just you kind of delegating how you want that to look. But you'll have to get like a system, maybe like, in the fall, donate certain clothes occasionally, like a constant kind of, because you're always getting, and second house is easy to hoard. And before you know it, you're like, piled up with like so much stuff.
That's true. Y'all should see my bookshelf. I got like
it's so neat once you get it.
My Chiron and a Libra is like, the clothes do be coming, and I'd be like, where these clothes coming? I'm accumulating clothes.
I was literally talking about that yesterday. I was like, I'm gonna,
Somebody said I feel seen.
Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad we're not the only ones in here that feel this way, because it's, for me, I was even talking about like fall shopping. I was like, I'm gonna do it in increments, because if I just sit here and I order every single outfit that I want, where am I going to put it? Because I already have clothes that are just sitting up there taking up space. So I love that you said donating, because I do feel like I get a lot, and I think that I have to find different ways to give back. And I think this is one of those ways, obviously, but I do feel like there's so much more for me to give to the collective. And I think that's been one of my struggles recently. One of the things that I feel like I'm, having a hard time with. Like even yesterday, I was like, what do I post? What do I say? Like, what am I supposed to be telling people? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be posting? Am I supposed to be posting anything? Like, it comes to that point where I'm either overthinking it, or it's something that I haven't really reached yet. So I feel like I'm getting to that point, and hopefully it shows up somewhere, somehow. And I'm in school right now, so I do feel like I'm working towards, getting my education so that I can really provide, proper information about certain topics, and even just, having my degree and my credentials so that I can, open this healing center that I've been dreaming of. But I'm like, okay, we got the future aspect of what we want, but what are the stepping stones to even get there? What is the first step that I have to take, in order to really get in that position where I'm solidified in my path? So I can say I've been working towards, I've been doing it for the past few years. I just think that now I've reached that spot where it's like, okay, what's next? What do I do next? what do I do differently? Because if I'm doing the same thing and it ain't working, what do I have to change? And that's why I feel like I'm going through my own, phase of death, as far as releasing old things, especially when it comes to like my business and, my just everything that I'm doing. And I'm trying to manage my time better, and I'm trying to like get things organized. Like even today, I had the concept of, because I babysit in the morning. So in the morning, I try not to even care too much about anything else because my priority is these children. So I try to focus on them as much as possible. And when I come home, study, go live, share some readings with the collective. And then I do the podcast at 7. And then I'm like, okay, well, after that, I want to go to the gym. And it's like, it just feels like everything's cluttered as far as my schedule is concerned. So how do I produce any creativity when I don't have the energy, when I'm, my mind's running everywhere? So I do feel like that's my step, and my key right now is to give back. I just need to give something back. Don't know what just yet, but when it comes to me, I'll be giving it. I'll be sharing something with the collective in some form or fashion. But yeah, I love the Aquarius second house, and I didn't really realize how impactful that placement was. Like I knew the second house was assets and things like that, but I didn't know that having that meant that you bringing stuff in, like things are coming in for you because of this placement. So I'm glad you brought that up, because now I'm gonna be researching my my second house Aquarius placement, trying to figure out. I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do? What's here for me? And I know Ty had told me before, I'm doing otherworldly things. That is what I'm doing. And I think too, just being someone I got a hand in everything: Akashic record readings, Reiki, sound healing, tarot readings. It's like I have so many different things I want to do. I'm like, can I just put all these things together in one little package and just offer that? Because at this point, I feel like it's hard to promote these individual things. It's hard to be like, oh, I got this going on daily, so that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on, is marketing, because I feel like I won't say that I'm a bad marketer, but I feel like, there's work to do, there's improvement that I can make. And I just feel in that area of my life. So I don't know what house is marketing, but maybe we can have a we can have a marketing conversation. Because I really struggle with that a lot. That's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying. And I guess that's all that matters. But then, it's like, how can I be more efficient in what I'm doing? How can I actually put out something and, I guess maybe that's the issue. Maybe I'm expecting something in return, and I should just do it do it because I want to, do it because I care or whatever. So yeah, I have to think my issue is having too many expectations. Yeah. Yeah, that's the issue. I don't know if it's that Capricorn rising in me, but I have the highest expectations ever. But yeah, so this is so interesting because with this whole concept, I was looking into DMT and I was researching it. Like it wasn't nothing. Like I'm like, what is DMT? What does this mean? And I learned that it's the chemical that's released when we die. And I remember I played one of the frequencies on YouTube to activate the DMT or whatever, just because I was like, let me see what this does. Like, I always test out the little frequencies on YouTube. I'm like, what does this do? Just because, even if nothing happens, like I just want to see what happens. And I just remember I slept so good. Like it was probably one of the greatest little snoozes I've had in a long time. And I just remember waking up feeling so empowered and feeling so like free. And when I had, after that, I was watching videos on DMT, and I just remember them saying like the trip is 10 minutes long. And I was like, 10 minutes for a trip? Like, shrooms is usually like 12 hours, or other things, you have a longer trip. So DMT is only 10 minutes, but they say it's the chemical that's released when we die. And when we die, they say our brain only has like 7 minutes left of brain activity. So that was one of those things that got my attention, because I'm like, when we dream, we get that 7-minute period for dreams, you know what I'm saying, or just that period to see the dream. So I remember someone had said, when we go to sleep, we're basically dying. We wake up and we're rebirthing ourselves. And, it's one of those things where I had said it to somebody and they got scared. And I was like, no, I don't mean it like that. I think it was a guy I was talking to, because we were just having like a conversation about spirituality. And, we're just bouncing ideas off of each other. And I had brought that up. He was like, so you mean to tell me when I go to sleep, I'm dying? And I was like, yeah.
It's so interesting that you say that, because that message came to me today as I was preparing for this call. We die 1,000 deaths. Like every time we go to sleep, we're in a state of rebirth. And so it's like when we wake up, are we going to reprogram our mind to live the life or learn the lessons, or we go through it again until we go to sleep the next day, and then we start getting it and we start changing. And it's like, because when you sleep, you don't know where you are. You don't know what's going on, your respiration levels, your oxygen, like all of that. Like, we don't know. We wake up and think, okay, we're picking up, but we don't know what transpires between that time. That's why our cells, everything is brand new. Our cells regenerate every single day. So that lets you know, okay, there was some type of death that happened, because why is there a regeneration? A regeneration and only happens where there's new life being kickstarted again. So it's all right there. But like you say, when you talk about these things, even the word death, it automatically creates this something. And I was just talking to my friend today. I said, what would it look like if we were taught a different outcome and a different experience with death? What would that look like? Now, certain circumstances make dealing with death very difficult when someone's life is taken or an accident, things of that nature. But the process of the journey of being born, having an opportunity to live according to the mission that we signed up for. It's like a contractual agreement to be an extension of the divine, to be a vessel to hold the frequency of love and light on certain planets that are dealing with things that are constantly trying to push our energy and bring us down. So we signed up again because our spirit and soul is just like ongoing, so it's just like this journey of, it's never ending. It's just our mind that keeps us really weighed down, our thought process, our conditioning, our belief systems, because every thought we attach an emotion to it. Every thought has an emotion. So it's like, if it's not and I don't want to say like positive emotion, because emotions and feelings are an extension of who we are. But if someone, when they think about work and automatically they physically feel stress, then anything that's work related is going to always be that, because there's an attachment with the emotion. So once you disconnect the emotion and just say, work, this is what I do, but it has no bearing on how I feel. Yes, the conditions are stressful, but it's not this constant engagement where it's like it's draining us. And so that's what, like, relationships, you think about a person, an ex, ooh, all of a sudden you make that disconnect. That was a lesson in my life that I had to learn at that time. So I don't even have to engage in those it's just the attachment is what kind of gets us stuck in this loop, because we feel it like it's the here and now. So of course it's going to feel very real.
Yeah. You better speak, Paula. You better speak. You better speak.
Okay, because what I'm trying to tell you, like, no, but really, because I'm thinking right now, thoughts, I have pain in my body from attaching to thoughts or holding on to certain thoughts for so long and making them emotions, making them feelings.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I gotta, like, decondition and reprogram and be like, why are you so caught up in this thought? Why are you so caught up in this feeling? Like, what is it?
Well,
really?
You said you have a third house placement. So because the third house is ruled by Mercury, Mercury governs. What did she say? I think Paula was.
She definitely gives therapist vibes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know what? Like I said, I was an Aries in the past life. So all of that. So now it's like, it has to be the calm, because I know I was wild, because that's still part of me that I'm learning to like manage and maintain. But with you having a third house placement, the third house is ruled by Mercury. Mercury governs how you process information. You're a Gemini too, Ashanti. So again, very intellectual, very mental activity a lot. And with Pluto being there, yes, the opposite side of it is that transformational deep, but it also lets you know the power in your communication and what you've been entrusted with, because not everybody can handle a Pluto in the third house. I know you probably be saying all kind of stuff.
I can be it can come
And
out
a lot
very
of people not ready for it. And then it also, like siblings, I don't know if you and your siblings used to clash. If you
still to this day.
So here's the thing. I have a third house placement, and whenever I reflect on my issues with my siblings, I'm like, that was a learning lesson for me. So now, whenever we have this, I don't even have to get emotionally dragged into it. I just have to understand this is a lesson that I'm learning. And your siblings is your closest reflection of yourself. So it's like, okay, what is this teaching me? And for communication for me, even though I talk a lot in my profession, it's still a lot of things that I don't really say, because it's like, I'm more so, I just want to keep the peace. So I'm just going to be quiet. But life is telling me, no, 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 no. My Saturn is in the third house. So it's like, and if I don't speak, he be on my butt. Like, no, you're going to talk about this. You're going to address it, even though you're uncomfortable, So any third house placements is can be very mentally exhausting. And then also you thinking and talking. So it's like overdrive.
Yes, because I think Ashanti has seen my Pluto in the third, like not towards her, but she's seen me talk to people, tell my honest truth, and people still want to be triggered because Pluto's a triggering planet. So people still want to be triggered, and I'm like, no, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it to trigger you to be intentionally like hurtful. That's not my goal. But since it's Pluto in its third, just the way it comes out, it triggers somebody some way. And I feel, oh my God.
So when I realized I had a third house placement, and I tend to have a lot of miscommunications with people for some reason or the other, it's like so now what I do is I'm very intentional about the conversation. So I come to them, the intention of this is to share how I feel. The intention of this is to share my opinion, because if you take it any other way, that is a decision that you're making. I'm already setting the tone of why we're having this conversation. It don't have to be no argument. I'm just telling you, X, Y, and Z. I'm learning that I have to do that because it's that much more easily for a miscommunication to occur. So I try to exhaust all of that, or I have an idea of who I'm talking to, and I know the level in which I have to connect with them, because I understand, and it's not from a place of arrogance or anything like that, but people are only able to understand you based on the level of consciousness that they are at. So I have to adjust and adapt so I can reach them right where they are. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't, but hey, that's not my problem. Right. And then you just kind of go from there. So a lot of communication. So you're a teacher, again, you are to teach, sharing information, and most likely sharing that information with your siblings and your neighbors, or like people around you. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, because that definitely be me. I'm like, Ashanti. I'm like, Ashanti. Here, I'll be setting her stuff up like, Ashanti, here.
He really will. He'll send me something on Twitter and I'll read it and I'll be like, oh, okay. Noted. I love that though. I love that. Dang, this really puts things into perspective, because I have, like, my siblings are in different places right now. So it's me and my youngest brother. My sister, she lives behind me, but like, she's always been in her own little world anyways. So it's always felt like I was never really able to be close with her because she's always created this distance. My other siblings are in school. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like trying to get the lesson in that,
Yeah.
But I think it's, symbolizing that we're all on our own paths, and,
You're on your own path.
I'm in school too, so I guess that's another thing, you know, that I have information that I can pass to them. I think my thing is I don't really know how. Like, I know my brother, I can talk to him and be like, you know, that with him because we grew up together. Whereas my other sisters lived with their dad. So with me and my brother were close, but sometimes I'll be like, I don't know how to get through to my other siblings, you know? And I don't know if it's because like we all have different dads and, you know, our relationship with our mom is like we all have we get a different version of her, you know? We all get a different version of her. So it's like in that, like we all, and I always look at it this way, we all represent a different part of our mom. So for me, I'm the spiritual part of my mom, only spiritual child that she has. My oldest sister, I think she's just the mom version of her because she's the only sibling that has kids. And then my sister, my second oldest sister, I think she represents my mom's wild side for sure. My mom's like where she gets crazy at. That's my second sister. And then my brother represents the athleticism, the family oriented, you know, just being family oriented, and being popular. People love him, like, you know, like that's what he represents, and so on and so forth. So for me, it was always like connecting with them and always feel like we're always clashing. But I think we're all just a reflection of our mom to where we're showing her parts of herself, and there'll be times where she'll reject us because of that, or she'll just keep her distance because of that. Or, you know, it's interesting to see that dynamic play out because she has six of us. So six is the number of nurturance and love and, you know, things like that. So she didn't really have that. She didn't really provide that for us. It just kind of felt very like, because she's an Aries. So it was like for her parenting style was more so just do as I say, you know? So it's one of those things where when it came to discovering our personality and getting to know ourselves, we didn't really have much room and space to do that. So we just kind of took bits and pieces of her on, you know? And now that I look at it, now that we're all grown, she'll be like, oh, well, they don't want to talk to me or whatever. And I feel like, well, mom, like, look what you've done. Or just be things that we do that irritate her that she does or she's done before. So it's interesting to see that specific dynamic, and, you know, the third house being our siblings and, you know, people around us is interesting. I don't know what I have in my third house. I'm still trying to remember my damn sidereal.
You know, I know it.
I know you know it.
Pisces. You got Pisces.
Sad that I don't know it. Oh, Pisces. Ooh.
So Pisces is I'm right on the cusp of Pisces and Aquarius. It's interesting because my birth time, I actually have an astrologer that I go to as well. And so when I was studying my chart and gave him my birth time, he calls me back and he's like, Paula, like, I've never really seen anything like this. He's like, literally, your birth time has you at 0 degrees Pisces, like 0. So I'm literally right between Aquarius and Pisces, but my birthday puts me at Aquarius, but my birth time is Pisces. So I kind of was like having an identity crisis, like, well, what am I? And then I just heard clear as day, like, you don't have to pick anything. And I know a lot of astrologers don't believe in cusp, but when you look at it from a spiritual and metaphysical aspect, there is definitely certain people that can harness two elements at once. And go in and out of that, because I feel it all the time where I'm literally air and water. I can shift. I can feel when I'm moving into my water energy. I can feel when I'm being directed to move in my air energy. And it was like, you don't have to choose. You got the best of both worlds. You have both. And so again, a lot of that has to do with the research and understanding like what that even means. And your sun sign is just a small portion of who you are. That's how you interact with yourself. So the world sees a little bit of that, but I always say when you want to get to the heart of a person, what is their moon sign? What is their Venus sign? Because that's going to show you their default. Like when you're in your flow, your natural state of being, that's you in your moon sign. And I just was talking to a client yesterday. I was doing her birth chart, and this analogy came to me about like driving a stick shift. And, you know, we have all these different elements that influence us, and sometimes we have to shift gears gears when we're in different situations. So when we're showing up in our relationships, we're shifting that gear to Venus energy. So it's like, okay, embracing all of that. Or sometimes, you know, that middle part where it just stays in the middle neutral. So your moon sign is your parking spot, like where you are just naturally, intrinsically, like, okay, this is how I operate out of, you know, your rising is how you show up in the world. How does the world see you? I'm a Gemini rising. So Geminis are the teachers of the zodiac. I teach, that's what I do. But if you get me in a room of people on a different type of situation and they're like, go around and tell us about yourself, I don't want to speak in public. It's like so weird. Like, I don't like speaking in public, but I teach for a living. So it's like one of those things. So once you understand that, then it's like, okay, then I can move accordingly. I know what I can do and what I can't do as far as what person you're going to get. When it's a water moon, like right now, I'm not doing a whole lot of strenuous stuff because already my intuition is heightened to the umpteenth degree. So I can't go to the grocery store last minute. I have to literally go to the grocery store, plan 2 to 3 weeks at a time, because I have to mentally prepare. All the products energy, all the people energy is so overwhelming for me. I know that about myself. So no one can call me like, hey, can you run by the store and pick this up? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Love that.
Okay. Christina, the answer to your question, full moon baby. That's a full moon baby.
Oh, let me see the chat. See the questions.
And if your sun and your rising are the same, you're a new moon baby.
That's so dope. I love astrology. Like, I'm glad we have this Astro Wizard Wednesday, because it really does. Like I was telling Todd last week, like, people don't realize, like, this is a major key to our personal development in a way, you know, like a lot of people don't know themselves. So if you look at your natal chart, oh, best believe you're going to get the tea. You're going to get your whole biography right there. Like, everything's there. I love
and
that.
see, when I realized the impact of it, that's why I implemented with my children. Because I'm like, if my mom would have did this with me growing up, I could have been supported more in my gifts and not like shut down and run from it. I would have embraced it, you know. So with my daughters, oh, they know their charts. They know, you know, I remind them, hey, the moon is in your moon sign. They know all of that. So they know when anything comes up, okay, let me go to my chart. I show them, I teach them, because this is the journey of self. This is you. And if you don't know you and you don't know how you operate, you can't set the tone for people to how to treat you. And also you operating in your highest self. Our chart is our highest self. Yes. That's pretty much it.
I love that you said that, because it makes me think of the people that are like, oh, I don't relate to my natal chart. I know why now.
When I
like,
hear
you don't like yourself.
When I hear people say like, oh, I hate Geminis or Scorpios, this, and I'm like, have you had your chart done? First of all, because you might have those very placements. And the reason why you don't like them, because they're showing you parts of you that you are not ready to accept. Right. So before you start knocking this sign and that sign, it could be a reflection of you. So first, get that out the way. It's so humbling when they see it like it really is. It's Gemini and Scorpios get the bad rap. Those two.
Okay. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for seeing us.
It's just like, I don't know what it is, but see, people don't realize when they say Geminis are two-faced. Gemini is a mutable sign. A mutable sign is very adaptable and flexibility. So you can show up in any, like a chameleon. You can show up in any situation and adjust and still be true to who you are, you know, but you just meet people where they are. And then Scorpios, we all know that's like the planet of the underworld. Is deep, it's mysterious. They're very suspicious, you know, and secretive, but it's like they're guarded, because it's like before they let you in, they got to make sure that you good, you know. And just like a scorpion, if you bother them when they're down deep in their little hole, whatever they're, if you bother them when they're not ready to emerge, yes, you go get that sting.
Sure.
Yeah. That's a fact.
So, and it's like, that's why when it's a Scorpio moon, people can be so mean when they're operating out of their lower self. The past 2 days, I have really dealt with people that have been so like mean and just like, and I'm like, oh, the moon is in Scorpio. I don't even have to go there because
Right.
yesterday I was in
Yeah.
the twilight zone with this lady at Walmart where I was just like, is this really happening? Like, thank goodness my daughter is with me because you would be getting a different me. So
It's like, I was wild in
okay.
my past life. Don't try me.
Okay, come on, and that's on South Note and Aries, and that's
It was so funny because I'm at the checkout thing and I'm having an issue, and she came over with like this attitude, like just, and I'm like, how are you? She was like, I'm good. She literally said it like that. So she go to tapping on the screen all hard. I was trying to check out my little potatoes and I pushed the button, rusted. She didn't see me. She was like, what kind of potatoes? And I'm looking, and then this is the key. She looked at me. She said, what's wrong with you?
The nerve.
what's wrong with me?
The
See,
nerve.
now that's definitely a Scorpio moment because Scorpios, high octave, very empowering, find empowerment in their shadow, but that low side of projecting onto people because they dealing with shadow stuff is not.
That's why
cool.
I was just like,
I should go ask you that, but she came with it.
Right, you had
I
it.
wanted to say I was fine before you came in with all this static energy. And I was just like, excuse me, like, and I told my daughter it was a teaching lesson for my daughter because she said maybe she's having a bad day. And I said, maybe, but here's the thing. And you're young, and I want you to understand this. Everyone is dealing with life, but when you clock in somewhere, you leave all that at the door. You don't bring that inside the workplace, especially when you're dealing with customers and you're supposed to be of service. This is the job you signed up for, boo. Okay. So I don't want to have no attitude when you got to come and unlock the screen and go from there. But I realized where the conditions of the elements that I was in. So I didn't even take it personal. I just was like, oh, okay.
That makes it so easier. It makes it easy though. Like, I feel like astrology has made my life easier. Like, even with this retrograde, like the retrogrades, actually, all of this going on, I don't look at it as I look at it as I'm going within myself. I'm gonna take this time to go within and do some introspecting and get more familiar with myself. Because a lot of my planets are retrograde already, So for me,
it's a comfortable time for you then.
Yeah, it is. I'll be like, I'm chilling. Everybody's like, like just kind of, walking through life with no issues whatsoever. And I think it's been such a shift for me. Like, I feel that shift. It's like every time Mercury goes into retrograde, I'm coming back to myself. Like, I'm getting back in my zone, and tapping in with myself. And I love that. And I love that astrology it makes life easy. Like, when you had mentioned the Scorpio moon earlier, before we even started this, and I was talking about like my niece and stuff, it was like, damn, that makes sense. Like, I really do gotta pay more, because I have like the full moon app on my phone. So it'll tell me like when the moon's in a different phase. But I never look at it and I'm like, okay, let's do this with this moon. Let's do this with that moon. Like, you can be intentional with this. Like, you can base rituals off of this. Like, there's so much that you can do with astrology. And that's why last week I went on a rant. I was like, y'all sleeping on astrology. Like, y'all gotta check in with, like, for real, because it's shifted my perspective on a lot of things about myself and how I perceive myself. And it helped me get to know myself better and what I do not like and what I do like. So I definitely recommend people get their natal charts read, just because it's an experience in itself. And it really does give you a lot of perspective, especially if you're someone that's feeling stuck and you don't really know what to do, or, whatever the case may be. But it's very helpful. And I love that I got two astrologers here, because I'm like, I got all the questions. But
it's a science. I always have to tell people, like, it's not a religion, it's not a cult, it's a science, it's the way of the universe. No one disputes anatomy and biology and microbiology. It just is what it is. So why is it such a big deal when it comes to astrology? Like,
right.
But again, it's the conditioning to disconnect us from ourselves.
Right.
So
yep. That's a fact.
You realize that they don't want us to know this. They don't know how to work with the universe and work with the moon. When you plant your seeds, get your harvest. So of course they're going to demonize it and make it seem like, oh, this and that, when it's like, no, it's leading you back to yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
And that just gave me a download. Demonizing the moon and having everybody in their sun sign. That's so good.
That's real though. Because wouldn't
Because
the
you,
sun
you
be
just,
the ego?
yeah, you're just giving outward energy. You're not giving no like
Mm.
reflective yin energy. You're not giving none of that off.
Oh, you know what? That makes me
You
think
have to
too.
take those moments to go within. Like, if not, like, yes, my dog is trying to get my attention. But yeah, your moon sign is like, you have to take those moments to go and be introspective and to check in with yourself. Everything can't be just external.
Right.
Facts,
Yeah.
facts.
And it made me think too, like for me, like I was introduced to the sun sign first. That's the only sign that I knew. And then I learned, oh, there's more placement. So I feel like that's done on purpose. Like it's really done on purpose to keep people from thinking that there's more to us than just this specific sign, you know? Because I was always like, I'm a Gemini. That's all I thought it was, you know, it's all I figured. I was like, oh, burn on this day. So I'm just a Gemini. And then I started following different astrologers and I was like, oh, this is different. This ain't what I thought it was, you know. So definitely takes a turn. And I swear by astrology. I really do. Like it's one of those things where you can't really debunk it because once you look at your own natal chart, you're like, yep, that's me. You
It's
have
all
that
right there.
moment.
Like it's all right there, and it makes so much sense. And it's just like, oh, okay. And then you base it off of what's going on currently. And then if you have those certain things, you know, okay, this is opportunity for growth. It's a mapping system. You know, it's like, 'cause some people think like, oh my God, my life is just falling apart, and not looking at the transits that's happening and seeing like, okay, this is a time of rest, or this is a time of action. This is a time of, you know, like really maximizing those times and using it to your advantage. So
Right.
it's been a journey for sure. It's a beautiful journey.
I love that you said mapping system too. I like to look at it as like our blueprint. Like this is just
It's
everything's
all right there.
there.
And like, you know, you hear when people have babies, they're like, babies don't come with instructions. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
They definitely
They
do.
absolutely do. Because like I say, I have worked it with my children since newborn 18 and 16, and I see it, and it's like it really works, and I'm thankful for it because it's like I'm not projecting my own stuff onto them. I'm supporting them and meeting them right where they are, so they're getting just the goodness of everything that is comfort for them so they can flourish and find their purpose. You know, I'm just creating the conditions for them. So I know, okay, my daughter is a Gemini sun. She has to have a lot of creativity. She has to get out. She has to, my other daughter has a Mercury in Pisces. I know when she does her work, she's going to daydream, and I support that. And then in 20 minutes, we check back in. Okay, time to do your work. I'm not yelling at her like, get back to work. You not paying attention. But how many kids are experiencing that because their
Right.
parents don't know, baby, your baby got a Mercury sign in Pisces. They're here to be the visionaries. Support it, encourage it. Just set your little timer, you know, okay, let's get back to work. It's so simple, you know, but we're not taught that. So it's just like we are meeting them based on our emotional capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And these children don't even have it, so they can't even embrace it. So they're not being nurtured all the way through.
Right.
Making sure they eat and have clothes and all that, that is so important. But there's another aspect to it, that's this undercurrent of stability and security within self, knowing that everything that I do, I'm not going to be snapped at. And then they start to adjust and change. Look at us. Now we're kind of going back to what we used to be when we were confident as a child, when you were about like between 6 and maybe 10 or 11, somebody asked you what you wanted to be when you grow up, like you was for certain, you was this, you were confident. But then over time, when you said it, people will be like, well, that take a long time, or you got to do that. And then you began to shrink and adjust your dreams because of what other people have said. But when you look at your child's chart and see, oh, you have 10th house placement. Okay, so let me groom you and train you to be in the public eye from the work that you do. Oh, you have an Aquarius placement. How can I support your more independence and your more freedom of expression? My girls, when they were little, rainbow socks, polka dot shirt, cowboy boots, rain boot, like however you want to show up today, that's how you go show up, and mommy go support that, and we go be okay. I'm not gonna make sure, because children are like boxed in because of no, don't do that, don't do that, because of our own thing. But when you see what they have, it's so much easy, because I'm like, oh, okay, this is how you are. So let me get used to, maybe you will have like a messy room. Okay. You will have like, and then how to build upon that to make it a strength, not excusing any bad behavior, showing them how, if they have those 12th house placements or Pisces placements, those are self-sacrificing. Okay. How you gonna put yourself first though? Because you naturally have a tendency to give to others before you give to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can teach that to young children at a young age, and I'm currently working on a curriculum. I have somebody on now that amazing mom. She homeschools her children, and we did a curriculum formatted based on her children's birth chart that meets them right where
Wow.
they are. And so that's how that's how children should be taught, and they will flourish that much more, because we know our educational system, that's a whole other thing. And that's that. So if you have that, or parents that are like aware of that, it's like we want confident children that are safe, because the world that we live in is very scary. I could imagine how it is for a child. I really
Yeah.
could. And then they go to school, and it's the possibility of somebody coming in. And I've never dealt with that type of
Mm-hmm.
feeling of, okay, if something happens, I got to do this. It was just like earthquake and weather related stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like we are so disconnected from what our children are dealing with, like what that must be trickle down to them in this world, and what that may look like. Even now with the mask, babies can't see the faces. Children process the world around them by the facial expressions, the smiles that reassure them you're in a safe place. So you have babies, infants that are trying to process, what am I safe or not? Because they're not seeing everything, but they're equipped for it. That's why they're so advanced, and they're able to, but it's just a whole thing. But we're getting there, so our children, I know my grandchildren, they're gonna be good to go. So it's like we're moving in the right direction. We just have to wake up, and we're the ones that are breaking the generational curses, meaning repeating the same thing over and over. So, in having opportunities like this, do you know what a positive ripple effect this is happening in the whole entire universe?
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it
I'm so happy
really
to
is.
be a part of it.
Well, thank you for joining too. It's one of those things where I was just like, because I'm one of those people where I will do it by myself if I have to. And I got to that point where that's where I was. I was like, I'm just gonna do this by myself. I'm cool. I don't want to worry about trying to get this to work or that to work. And then I remember Spirit put it on my heart. They were like, get somebody on the podcast. And I was like, what? What you mean? What you mean get people on the podcast? Like I just got the hang of it. What you mean? So when I made that post, people were DMing me. Like, I mean, my messages were flooded at that point. I'm like, I don't even know how to get back to everybody because I just got anxious. I was like, oh, this is a lot. Like, I wasn't expecting all these people to reach out. And then when you had reached out, I was like, something's here. Like I felt something. I don't know what it was, but I definitely felt something. And you had sent me that article and I read it and I was like, oh shit. I was like, whoa. And even with this conversation, like it's really opened my eyes to a lot of things, even with what you just talked about with like, parenting and how, astrology could be a really significant part of that. And making it hard, not making it hard, but making it easier to raise your children through their natal chart. And I was like, damn, I wish my mom would have did that. Like, why my mom ain't think, why she ain't think of that? She like astrology, why she ain't think of that? But yeah, when everyone was reaching out, I was like, I don't know about this, but it was one of those things where I get intimidated because I'm very like, I love talking and I love being around people, but then there's a part of me where I'm like, people, I get very like nervous around people or nervous in these types of, settings. But, it hasn't been that hard for me because I realize I'm outgrowing that part of me that's always been, scared to speak in a room or, whatever the case may be. Because when I was in middle school, I remember we had to do like these argumentative pieces. And anytime I get up there, I just freeze. And I ended up failing because I did not like public speaking. But now, fast forward, this is what I'm doing, public speaking daily. And, it just goes to show that, sometimes the thing that we fear the most is what we're here to do. And that's like, wow, I just appreciate you so much for coming. Ty, you already know what's going on with me. You already know how we rock inside. We got to say nothing to you. But yeah, Paula, when I had read her article, y'all, she had sent me her article and I read it. Like I read it all. I was like scrolling and reading. And then I stumbled upon the near-death experience part and I was like, oh shit. Like never met anybody that's, went through that. I've never, encountered it myself. Now, when I was younger, I had a lot of surgeries growing up. So don't even know if I even come close to it or not. But it's one of those things where it's always intrigued me. I'd always read up about it and, books like Journey of Souls and things like that have always intrigued me because I've always wondered, what is death like? So I get the opportunity to ask you that today.
Yes.
What is death like? What was your experience with death? If you want to tell the story, I'm gonna mute myself and let you have the floor.
Okay, so it's so interesting, like we spoke earlier, that I'm having this opportunity to talk about it. A few of my close friends know, family members, of course, they know, but I haven't like publicly spoke about it. And that article that you speak of, that was back in June, and I still have not really shared it. And a part of me is, I don't know why I haven't shared it, but I will soon. So my experience is it's very interesting. So when I was younger, I always had when I would get in cars with people, and like when I was little, I never really trusted them, and I always felt like I was going to die in a car accident. That was like this feeling that I would get. And so I was naturally already intuitive, but didn't know. So, back in the day, you would ride with people, different things like that. And I never really felt comfortable like going with people if it wasn't my mom or somebody that I really trusted driving. And I remember being about 6 years old and getting in a car with my cousin and hearing I'm going to die in a car accident. Like I heard it. So, over time, it was something that I kind of like pushed back. And so when I started driving and all my friends started driving, we was 14, 15, like getting in cars and driving around, but I was always the one driving. Like I didn't trust anybody driving me. Even if somebody had a car, I would be like, give me the keys. And they like, give me the keys. I'm driving. It was one of those things. And then of course, death in itself was always scary, just the thought of it. So it was naturally fear regarding that. So fast forward to 1999, it was December 5th, and I considered December 5th my second birthday. I celebrated just like it's February 18th. And it was a Sunday, and I was heading home. And I remember listening to Stevie Wonder. I can't think of the name of the song, but it was about castles in the sky. So I'm driving, and typically with a car accident, you see it coming or you're able to brace and prepare. I didn't know anything. It was like I was driving, and all of a sudden, it was this loud smack and this impact. And this light like flashed in front of me, and I physically felt the impact was so strong. I physically felt my spirit leave my body, like it hit my spirit out, like it was so strong. And my car was black at the time. The car that hit me was white, and the impact was so strong that the side of my car was white and the front of their car was black. Like the color exchanged, right? So immediately I felt my spirit leave my body. And right in that moment, I heard, oh, it's happening. And I surrendered. With death, there is a surrender that has to take place. And automatically, like, I just surrendered, and I felt my spirit like go into the heavens, like the universe. Everything got completely silent, like the whole world stopped. And when I tell you, it was such a peace. I felt like I was a newborn baby that was like swaddled and being held. Like, that's the only way that I can explain it. Your life does flash through your eyes. My whole day, like everything panned up to the day I was in church that Sunday, all the way up into to a moment of me being in church during a praise and worship moment. So again, in my mind, all of my mind is still thinking and going like, okay, this is happening, surrender, like, oh my God, this is like amazing. Then I was thinking about like my family, maybe their thoughts and different things, but it was just this natural pull that was just happening, like kind of being guided. And it was a Disney movie called, I think Soul, if I'm not mistaken. And it was the moment. So here's the thing, you know how they made the soul very small? Actually, it's the other way around. Our soul is huge, like the whole existence. And our human self is that small portion. So remember when he was like on the conveyor belt, kind of going up to this light,
Into the
it
light.
kind of felt like this gravitation was going. And again, death is a surrender. So I'm still like processing, like this is really happening. Like I'm gone, like, okay. But again, I felt so much love and peace that it was just like, okay, I'm ready for this next phase. And right when it was like, it kind of reminded me of like when you get ready to get into a good deep sleep and somebody wake you up right when it was getting ready to just be so. That's what it kind of felt like. Right when I was just getting ready to go into this ultimate surrender, I heard, it's not your time. And all of a sudden it was like, and I'm in the car, the airbags have just deployed, and I'm like this. I'm like feeling myself like I'm back. Like I knew like I'm back. The car is smoking. Like I'm trying to like figure out what's going on. At the time the car that I hit like slammed me into a truck. So I slammed into a truck and then another car. And so the driver is at the window mad, like fussing at me, but I can't hear anything. All I'm hearing, seeing is his mouth. I'm so disoriented. What felt like, I would say hours, was probably a matter of minutes. I'm very disoriented. And he's like knocking at the door. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And then right at that moment, I felt like a little girl and I just wanted my mother. And so I'm like looking around and all I'm seeing is like these mean faces and just different things like all around me. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And right at that moment, this angel came up to me. She was in all white. And she said, oh, honey, it's going to be okay. And she gave me a hug. And that hug was just enough for me to be like, okay, you've been in a car accident, call your family, this, and that. Because had that not happened, I felt like I was about to spaz out and lose my mind because I knew what I had just experienced. So the ambulance come, they're like, do you need to go to a hospital? I'm like, I'll drive myself. At the time I had braces, my lips were busted, my hands were bruised because of the impact of the airbag. So I go to the ER, my parents meet me there, and I began to share the story. And they're looking at each other like, oh God, I don't know what happened. They like, just rest, Paula, just rest. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you what happened. And they're just kind of like dismissing it. So I go home, I'm in so much pain, and now I'm angry because I'm looking around at this world and I'm like, why am I back? So for about 3 to 4 months, I'm sore, can't really walk, my car is totaled, and I was mad. because here I am, I've experienced this beautiful experience, and now I'm back in this physical body in this world. And so it just kind of like turned into this anger, and then it settled. And it's not a day that does not go by. This is 22 years ago that it's not a day that I don't think about it, because one, I realized at any moment you can be gone and not even know, no preparation, no nothing. That was one part that really like got me. And then the second part was, man, I would have died and I really didn't make no major contribution to the world. I just would have been another person that passed away in a car accident. And not that I was like, quote unquote, a bad person. I was I was 22, working a job, making, what was good money at the time, doing my thing. And it was just like, hey, I could do more. And so from there, because I was in a lot of physical pain, I started doing yoga. And so that opened up the door for a lot of healing. And that's what started me on my journey. I became a yoga instructor. And then from a yoga instructor, it led me to me becoming a crystal therapist. But since I was 6 years old, I've always been an astrologer, I say. I've always studied the way of the universe. But this experience gave me an opportunity to, one, face my biggest fear, which was death. So now when I'm in a car with people, I'm a little more relaxed, still a little, but it's like it's already happened. So I'm okay, but I am cautious when I drive. So I went and looked at my birth chart. This was after I figured out the mapping system. And I have my Mars and my Mercury in the 8th house. And having a Mars in it, look, you already know. And I read up that people with Mars in the 8th house tend to have accidents a little bit more. So I'm like bumping my toe, or just because we move so fast, we got to slow down. And both my Mars and Mercury is Aquarius. So it's like I move fast and I got to do it my way anyway, too. So it's just a whole lot of things. So I read that people with Mars in the 8th house are more likely to have near-death experiences and car accidents. And it was like, wow, it was so affirming to me. Not saying that I would have changed anything, but it really made sense, because if that did not happen, I wouldn't be where I am today. It was the catalyst for everything. My gifts, when I tell you that's when it was like, okay, now it's time for you to do the work. You had this experience. You see that it's not your time yet. Because I was ready. I was like, this is it? Oh, yeah. That's why when people transition, a part of me is saddened by, again, in the way in which it happened. But the other part of me is kind of like, dang, right now they probably, ooh, I only got a few minutes. You think about people that have transitioned for years, what bliss they must be in even now. So when I think about it, it's like, okay, I'm able to provide a little bit of insight to people who've lost a loved one. And then also to remind them that we can tap into that same piece too. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to leave this physical vessel. That's just another way in which it can happen. But as a result of it, that's when I say we die 1,000 deaths, because I literally feel like I died and gone to heaven, because I look at my life and I'm like, I'm so blessed. Like, I have everything that I want. So when we talk about, is heaven real, is hell real, it is in which what we project out. If I'm thinking I'm in hell, oh yeah, you will be living in a hell. And everything is gonna be like, and it ain't all pitchforks and horn ears. It's conditions. It's very taxing. A lot of people are in that cycle anyway. But once I shifted it, like, oh, I died and literally gone to heaven, my life is heavenly. Yes, I have challenges that require growth on my part, but I'm like, well, what if that was it? It's a portal, and death is so much like birth. I'm a doula as well. So I remember supporting a mom during her birthing process, and remembering the moment when my father passed away, and seeing wow, it's just like birth. There's these transitions that you go through. Like when you're in labor, your body goes through different transitions. Same thing with death. And so I was able to physically experience it and then also see it on the other end as it's happening, the spirit like leaving the body and moving. So I just want to encourage those who have lost a loved one or who is dealing with grief, just knowing that that particular state of consciousness is a place of peace, and that you can always tap in and connect with them on that level. But like I say, it's not a day that does not go by that I don't think about it. It took me a long time to drive into intersections because that's where it happened. I have some moments of anxiousness from time to time, but like I say, the biggest thing is like it happened. I felt like, wow, I conquered it. I conquered my biggest fear. And so now I'm very much more cautious. Even with people driving my children, or if they order an Uber, I know the Uber drivers, I always let them know this is precious cargo. Like this is a certain, like with her, with me, it's certain different ways that you must move. And all of you all, with Mercury being in retrograde, Mercury governs travel, and where Uranus is in retrograde. And there was a transit a few weeks ago when we kept hearing about a lot of really bad car accidents. And so it's like those reminders, slow down, because the world is telling us move fast, go, 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 get it fast, get it in a hurry, get it this. And it's like things can happen in a blink of an eye. So slow down with your driving, be very, very cautious because the energy is very fast paced, the timeline that we're on anyway. And so that just kind of makes it that much more. But it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. It was no fear. Like all of that is removed and you're automatically supported and loved. Like I never felt so loved in my life. Like it was like the epitome of this connection. Thank you, of love. It's like right away you're just wrapped into love. So you don't even have a moment to be afraid because fear and love can't coexist. So right away the universe steps in and removes that middle ground that we have that disconnects us. So every day I tap into that peace. I tap into that quietness. A lot of times we are dealing with sensory overload and we don't even realize it. Either we got the TV on, we got to have it on in the background, and, but we're on our phone and just not being okay with silence, because there's a lot of different things that happen in silence. We're praying, we're seeking guidance, we're seeking information, but we are not preparing the proper environment that's conducive for us to even hear. Like how the message is supposed to come when we bumping our music at the umpteenth level. Hey, it'd be good, but it's like, no, I'm just trying to hear something right now, So it's like, okay, developing a practice. Like in the morning for me, I'll just sit, what are my instructions for today? How am I best to show up? What energy should I honor? Am I operating out of my masculine today, or is it going to be my feminine? More so it's been feminine because I'm masculine, I'm go handling business, but it's like, no, right now, the feminine energy is needed, even for men, kind of sit back and let things come to you. And it's so not gender. It's like, that part just really annoys me. Masculine and feminine energy has nothing to do with your gender. It's what energy are you operating and putting out? This world we're in is very masculine driven, the grind, the hustle. We're community tribal people and we're trying to do everything by ourselves. And that's why we're discouraged. That's why we're depressed, because we're trying to do stuff that wasn't even meant to be done. But like you're running a business by yourself when you have companies that have to hire employees, but yet you do it. Or even a mom that even has a father there too. You need auntie, you need grandma, you need uncles, you need a whole tribe. So we have to like get back into the proper nature of things first and kind of see how things roll out from that. But first it starts with Okay, what energy am I operating out of? Feminine energy is needed because we need to keep still. It's too much movement. That's what this pandemic was all about. It sat us all down. And we still ain't learned. That's why another one is right around the corner, because people still have not learned to slow down, prioritize your things. You're still putting work before yourself. And you're not, if you go put work before, at least let it be your own business and your own creative, don't give someone else that much of your energy that you are not willing to invest in your own self. If you can put 8 hours in on a job, you better be able to put 8 or more on your stuff. And so that's what we're being shown. And that's that feminine energy, sitting back and seeing what comes to you, not getting up. I always think about the queen and the king, more so the queen. She sits on her throne. They come to her court, okay? She do not get up and go out and find this. She calls it to her, right? So that's what I've been operating in. I've just been calling things to me. You come into my court. First of all, I'm setting the stage of how you are to appear and what respect is due to me. You're not going to be loud. You're not going to be disrespectful. You're not coming in. No. All of that, being able to fully show up in yourself and what that looks like. This is your realm. Your world and your life is your own personal realm. So like really taking that power back. And so that's what that kind of showed me with my near death. I don't really like to say near death because it wasn't nothing near. It just, that's what it was. That's what I experienced it. But it showed me maximize each day, because literally you can be driving and before you know it, you in a whole other, oh, this is where I'm at. Okay. And that's literally how it was. Like, I didn't even see, I'm driving, listening to Stevie Wonder. And every time I hear that song, it's a little, I won't say triggering, but it just takes me right back to that moment. And even on December 5th, it's like, it's a celebratory time, but then the whole day is like repeated back. So it's like, I'm kind of processing it and then reconciling where I am now and seeing the growth. So if anything happens, I believe I'm going to live for a very long time. But in the event anything happened now, I'm good because I've raised my children to be independent and successful members of society. One, I have a legacy to leave behind. And what better can you have from that? So it's all these learning lessons. So when we go to sleep, there is a level of death and rebirth in that. So when you wake up in the morning, you can take on that mindset of new beginnings. Even though it seems like everything is the same, it's not. That's why routines are important, because you can switch them up. You have something to look forward to. If every day, look at how people enter into their day. I gotta go to work. I gotta do this. I gotta drop the kids off. I gotta make these lunches. That is what you are gonna keep attracting. But you wake up, oh, I get to take my kids to school. I get to make them a nutritious lunch and speak life into their food. So when they eat it, they can have a good day. I get to go and, put my talents. I don't even like to say work. I say this is where I go to contribute my talents, and I get a lot of money for it. Because when I say work, it becomes work. I don't want work. We done had enough work. Generational wise, that's encrypted in our genes. We're feeling all of the work. So right now, that's why we're in a place of like, it gotta be more so what works for me, because we're at this threshold, like, where we'll tell our boss what we not gonna do. It don't even feel no, and I'm right here with it, where I'm telling them, they say don't work from home on these days. What I do, I'm working from home. Sorry, the job is getting done. If it don't make sense for me, I'm not gonna do it. Like, no longer am I going to keep doing stuff that is not benefiting me all the way. Y'all need me, take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. This is how I work best, and really being unapologetic with that. And so we're all being encouraged, like, step into your power and what that looks like. And then when you have the universe supporting you in that, like these retrogrades are saying, revisit some stuff, redo, reevaluate, reassess in how you communicate, and how you dream, your commitments, facing your shadow. Like if the universe is saying slow down and reevaluate, why are we keep pushing against, trying to do something when it's like, it's out of nature. You can try it, but it's not a guarantee it's gonna work. Why would you take that risk? Or people getting married during this time. Like before y'all start setting wedding dates, look at what you're picking a date that can be the harshest thing. A relationship in itself, it requires effort already. And then when you do it at a time that is like Venus is somewhere where she's in detriment, or you go do it when Venus is comfortable, where it's a natural flow, like we have some say-so in it, So it all, again, ties back to that death and rebirth. We're constantly, so today, when everybody ends their day, just know that you lived a certain life today. And now it's time to rest, because tomorrow you're going to be renewed. And however that death rebirth process, because we know where even our cells on our skin flush off and die and they regenerate. So this death thing that we have is such a negative heaviness, when really it should look at as an expansiveness to something greater. What else is beyond it? It's beyond just, being buried or ashes. Like these things are expansive that we are constantly connected to, at any given time. So it's like plugging into that and going from there. Check your Mars placements, because your Mars is how you assert yourself, your primal energy, that aggressive, like what gets you going. Ladies, I have a little tidbit for you. When you're looking for the ideal partner, you want to, if his Sun, Moon, or Venus sign is your Mars sign, specifically his Sun, then it's a very compatible, because his Sun will shine a spotlight on areas where you can assert yourself. So most likely he's going to motivate you. He's going to help you get to do what you're supposed to do and move in the way that you're supposed to move naturally, because you have that spotlight right there that's saying, oh, no, this is how you work best. So naturally, it's going to be mirroring that. And I do research and I do like studies on couples and stuff. Can you give me that combo? Yes, it's your Mars sign, either his Sun sign, his Moon sign, or his Venus sign is best. Mostly your Sun. What I find is mostly the Sun. So the couples that I found with women dating men who has a Sun sign, they are huge, intricate parts in them fulfilling their purpose. And it's very interesting, because I know by personal experience that it's very much true. But there's other little tidbits that you can look at as far as compatibility with a partner. If you all share the same houses, it's just that, it's like living with someone, so you'll operate the same, my house, my rules type of thing. Abundance, check your Jupiter, wherever Jupiter is, that's, where you are tapped right into your abundance. So it's all, and was all Ribbon in the Sky. It wasn't Ribbon in the Sky, it's another one, because that's what I thought. It's I've been building this castle of love, that song. And don't get me to try to hum it or sing it. Let me see. What is, someone had a question? Oh, chat. Can you please? Okay, so yes, the summer that we share the same sun retrograde. Oh, okay. So death is a beautiful thing. Okay. And it reminds us about surrendering. And we have to do that every day. We have to surrender at some point. Yes, we have our plans that our agendas that we think we're going to do. And then life will show up differently. And so sometimes you have to just surrender to, this is where I'm at this moment. Overjoyed. Yes. That is it. And it's so interesting that that song was playing overjoyed while I was transitioning. So it even right now, it kind of like does something, because that's what I was kind of hearing in the background as I'm like moving through this different space and time. And again, I'm seeing even now that that was a reflection of what my spirit was saying. My spirit was overjoyed because it knew, this is part of her growth here. This is what's going to get her eyes open to see, yes, you do see spirits. Yes, they do talk to you. Yes, you do this. You have this, because it was like this, la, 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 la. That was kind of like what I was up until the accident. And the accident just made everything strip me and say, what are you going to do with all of this? And how can you make a positive contribution to the world with this information? So however it may be taken, but again, it is an ongoing conversation. We teeter with death all day and we don't even know it. Sometimes I'm out in public and I can see people are, they right there. They right there. I remember being on an airplane taking a flight. And it was so funny because that's when they were showing all the videos where people were kind of like having these disruptions on the airplane. And I was thinking to myself, like, because I travel a lot. My son is in the 9th house. So again, travel is an intricate part of how I feel good. I didn't know this until I knew it. So every month I travel. So I was thinking like, I've never experienced this during my travel. And sure enough, my next flight, the flight was maybe 10, 15 minutes in, and someone began to have a seizure on flight. And there was no nurses, and the flight attendants was running around with their head, like a chicken with their head cut off. No type of structure or stability or any of that. So I felt all this like, oh my gosh, in addition to this person was teetering. I could literally feel life and death, him fighting for his life right in the air. And I just kept thinking, because I felt super helpless, like just sending healing energy to him, like, please don't let this man transition on this plane, because I could feel how close he was. And then they started giving him liquid, and I'm thinking, like, I'm no nurse. I know when someone is having a seizure, you do not give them anything to drink because they can choke. So I'm over here just like going through it. They moving them around. I'm like, oh gosh. And it's going on. He kept having them. And then finally they're like, we're going to have to make an emergency landing, because the build up of the emergency was so intense. I'm like, oh my God, death is literally, because before I got on the plane, I was a little nervous, but I thought it was just me. I felt it and I dismissed it. And right when they said, is there a nurse on the plane? I knew. I'm like, that's what I was feeling. So there's a lot of times where I'm around it and I can send, again, this is why we're here, I can recognize it. So if necessary, I can stand and hold space wherever is needed, send some love and healing energy. I've been around a lot of people in their transition. I've been a death doula, even though it was just kind of where I was placed at that time. So I know, again, what those moments look like, So again, we're all kind of at this space where we're knocking on the door in some kind of way. And so we can use this as our advantage to be more present in life, be very present, even when the day doesn't always seem like it's going to still be present in it. Look at the cars and the kids playing and just stop for a minute and just observe, because you really don't know, is this the last time, I'm going to experience a tree or this and that? Now, every day, literally, it feels like I've never seen a tree before, or I live life like, oh my God, I went somewhere and now I'm back. Oh, I'm so thankful to be here now. It's that. Whereas before I was mad, like, oh, it was so bad. My family was just like, what is going on? But they already knew the nature of who I am naturally. So it all kind of made sense. But that's the journey of it. That's the story of it. And I'm thankful that you allowed me the opportunity to speak to it, because again, I don't really talk about this because one, people are not ready to have the conversation, or they walk away like, oh my gosh, she is, woo. But I'm okay with that. Like, I am okay with that. That means that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, because I'm me and there's only one me. I'm the only Paula that you're going to meet that have these experiences. So that's okay, and that took some time to get to, because I never talked about it at all. It's 22 years and I just started talking about it, like publicly. So thank you for the opportunity, because that's how I see, like, oh, okay, it's time for you to start sharing this a little bit more and what that may look like, and the flip side of the other side to it, because now it's like, very, very interesting. Very interesting. And you all, I don't know if you know, but this is what I see, so I have to always speak to it. There is so much ancestral support on this call. Like, everybody's whole team is like here and just so proud of the work that we're doing. We're so supported, and not everyone is going to get it. And not everyone is going to be called to like have these. So share what you can share, but some people are just not going to get it. And you just have to kind of keep moving on. Don't slow your train down to wait for other people to catch up, because the stops is good ahead, And so everyone's on here. We're like-minded people, and that's why we're here. So our hearts are in really good places, but just make sure that they want it just as much as you do. And sometimes they just not, they talk about it, but it's like, if you're not ready to do that work. Yes, I do have social media. Let me try and type that on. So here's the thing with my social media, just a little recap. Because I have a lot of Pisces energy, getting online can be overwhelming for me sometimes. So I know that I have messages that I'm supposed to get. So I'm pretty good about putting things on my story about the cosmic forecast of the day to kind of give people some insight. But then I have my moments where I kind of disappear. And when I disappear, that's because it's like, I have 8th house placement. So that's that death, rebirth. Everything that I go through literally changes me. So I have different looks. I have different, like, I look through pictures and I'm all those things.
Yes, I agree, because I have 2 8th house placements as well. I got Moon and Saturn in the 8th, so I get it. I get it. I look different every other day.
It's so much change. And I remember the last major change I was experiencing. I'm like, I'm tired. And it's like, you don't even get a choice to be tired. How else are you going to grow if you don't have these challenges? Without the challenges, there is no transformation. So once you accept it, now when the challenges come, I'll be like, ooh, who am I about to change into now? Who's getting ready to pop out? What part of me is getting ready to show up? I don't look at it as a defeat. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is what's being required of me at this time, because 8th house and 12th house placements, they're not for the weak. And I have both. So it's like,
Same.
So children with 8th and 12th house placement, so they may have nightmares, they may be scared. Don't let them watch scary movies. If they say it's monsters under their bed, you go under there and make sure you clear it out for their own sanity, because they do have a higher connection to the spiritual realm. And so again, children are children, so it may come off a different kind of way, but don't dismiss it. They may be very reserve. If they don't want to hug people or go and put people's houses and different things, please respect that, because I remember being young and not want to go into people's house because it didn't feel right. But I didn't know that. I didn't know how to communicate that to my mom. So I'm somewhere very, very uncomfortable because I see Granny in the corner. I see such and such here. I see you really ain't right, but I'm 5 years old. So it's coming off as shy or talk. No, I'm observing. So like let children kind of be, don't force them to be social because they'll naturally like come out. But if you know that your child has 8th and 12th house placements and you're out in public, big crowds, arguments, all of those things are very triggering for them. So like my daughter is a Pisces. We at the store like less than 10 minutes. She like, I'm ready to go. Because it's too, okay, let's go. Because I
She's like, I'm
understand
feeling
it.
too much. She's like, I'm feeling too much. We got to go.
Because I know, and this is nothing against my parents, but they would drag me out all day long. And I just be like, oh. By the time I come home, I'm just zapped because I'm processing everything before me. So I encourage parents to look at your children's chart. Oh yeah. Yeah, Danny, you have a special assignment for you. But I ask that you all look at their chart and just kind of see, and that'll really help you support them just a little bit more, than what we were able, because it was like, sit down, we going, suck it up, give them a hug, dance, do that little dance you do. It's like,
That's
was for you.
The dance when I was like, no, I don't want to do it this
No,
time.
seriously. Like, please do not make me dance.
Like, mama, that was for you. That wasn't for your friends. I'm not even in the same comfort zone. So I can't really. But
can't even
like,
do it the same.
We know better, we do better. So now it's like with my girls, I'll ask them, are you okay with this? Are you comfortable with this? Yes, no. And like I mentioned, my daughter, she's a Gemini, and I talk about raising the Gemini child. And she's going to talk about having an Aquarius mom. So it's going to be a nice little, but again, it's all based on what's comfortable for her, So if anybody has any questions, because us Geminis, we can
yeah
just
we
tell
there
me
with
when
it.
to reel it in.
We right there with it.
Mercury.
We right here with you.
Have a whole little thing. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. So my social media is, let me see if I could type it in. That I'm learning how to be more visible online because I like to stay behind the scenes, but
yeah, I relate to that. Relate.
okay, well, that is
like,
my,
nobody look at me.
and then I'll put my website. This has been so nice.
Yeah, I've loved this. This was great. Like, I just feel, I don't know. I don't even know how I feel, honestly. I just feel. I'm just feeling things. I don't know why your audio's cut out. What happened?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, I'm looking for. So if anyone has selenite is a really good crystal to work with. It's very high vibrational, and it connects you to the angelic realm. And so if you have any dream questions and different things, it's really good to work with. But just be intentional when you use, crystals and minerals. I know it's very trendy, but there is a certain way that we are to operate with them. Let me see, selenite is really good, and clear quartz is always a good one too to work with.
I love that. Yeah, I have selenite. I love selenite. I use it for Reiki. So when I'm doing Reiki on clients,
Okay.
I always use that on them. So yes, I swear by the selenite.
So where are you at? I didn't even get to ask you, where are you at?
I'm in Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah.
Ty, where are you?
I am in Florida.
Oh, you're in, okay. So how is it?
Oh, I was taking out the trash earlier and the wind was trying to blow me away just a little bit, just a little bit. I was like, wow, like trees was moving, look like real heavy. I was like, this wind is really strong.
So are you getting a lot of rain?
Yeah, every day. I think it rained earlier today. Like it's raining every day at this point.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're safe because I was seeing like certain little clips and it's like, ooh, what part of
Oh yeah,
Florida
it's
is
going
that?
crazy.
Yeah.
It's going crazy. But I think the way it's angled, it's hitting a certain part of Florida. So we're only getting like the rain and the wind part. But the other part is actually getting like it's gonna cut through by like probably like Jacksonville and stuff and like cut through to like Georgia and stuff. So
Oh, well, hold up.
Oh
I'm
my
in
God.
Georgia.
Ooh,
just be on the lookout.
I love Georgia. First of all, I just want to say that I love Georgia. I don't know what it is. I don't know what connection I have to Georgia.
Let me tell
But
you, I'm from Los Angeles and I had a dream to come out here. And now I understand.
mm,
The trees, there's a place called Stone Mountain. It's a huge crystal. I actually take my talents out in Stone Mountain. So I get it. And you literally feel, somebody said I want to move to LA. So here's the thing. Of course, I'm born and raised. There's a part of me I'm always going to love Los Angeles. But it's so fast paced and just like that I come here. It's like I go there, I do what I have to do, and then when I come here, it grounds me and settles me so that I can go back to LA. It's a lot of different things. In the spiritual realm that is so New York City. So yeah, that's a whole different element on its own too. Has its own little, it's a very fast beat, a fast pace, and New York is like that grit, that just all about it, just work. They got a hustle and a determination that's so inspiring. It's just like you get out there like, oh, I could do anything, you love that. So Kentucky,
I think New York is
Florida.
a Capricorn. Yeah, I think New York is a Capricorn. Like, so that's why the energy is like they be
on it.
They get it in.
Man, I just want to travel everywhere.
Get it in. Definitely. You love New York.
Yeah, I'm from New York.
Thank you. So Ty, you have to provide me your social media information. I would love to continue to stay in contact. Ashanti, this was so nice.
Yes.
Thank you
I had a
so
great
much
time.
for allowing me to share.
Of course. Thank you for even coming and just even reaching out, because this was needed, very much needed. I can't wait to post clips all over my social media. Like, y'all missed out.
Right.
Y'all
Missed out. But you know what I'm learning, some things are just, you gotta catch it where you can, those things that are just needed at that time. And people get it when they get it.
Right.
Oh, okay, got it. Let me take a screenshot of that.
Right, I got a copy. I'm gonna copy it and put it in my notes.
Oh, this is so great. I just feel I'm ready to go take a shower and just be like,
yes, yep, and just kind of just bask in this beautiful time that we're in. When you speak about soul tribe, it's like this is what this looks like. You meet people who are like-minded and that are on the same vibrational. It's a vibrational match. That's exactly what it is. We're like little atoms, and we just gravitated towards the frequency that's similar to ours. That's how people are meant to be in your life.
Right.
Because it's a natural, if you look at how cells work and under a microscope, they're moving, right? And then you find somebody else and it's just like naturally you just come into their orbital space. We're all our own universe. We're our own universe. And when you think about it, it's like, and then when you talked about the galactic word, I'm like,
I love how everything was like synchronizing today. Like you had mentioned before we started that my shirt was something that you were wearing as your pants. You had some sweatpants on. I'm like, I have sweatpants on right now. Like, it was one of those things where I just knew this conversation was going to be everything that I needed, especially moving forward. Because when you had mentioned, waking up and realizing like this is a new life, it may be a new day, but this is a new life for you. I'm taking that into consideration. I'm taking that and I'm running with it. I'm like, look, if I don't get it right tomorrow, best believe I'm getting it right the day after. Like, we're gonna keep trying, and not allowing, the past to take so much away from the present moment. Because that's something that I used to struggle with a lot. And I've come to the space now where I'm content with where I'm at, and it allows me to be more present. So when I do get in those moments where I'm like, oh, I'm like, you know what? Let's just shake it off and let's breathe a little bit. Let's breathe, let's meditate, let's relax our mind, our body, and our spirit. Because there is a lot of overstimulation, there's a lot going on in the energy around us that we feel and don't know how to comprehend it. So, for me, it's like when my TV is playing, I'm like, I'm turning this off. I'm turning this TV off. I don't even want to be on my phone. Like, I just want to lay here and just be,
Yeah.
And I lived also going back to what you had said about my Aquarius second like house or whatever. It just made me think about my crystal bowls that I have. I have these singing bowls, and now I'm like, I need to use them more. I need to use the tools and resources that I already have more. If I'm gonna hoard, I at least need to use the things. I at least need to use these things. So thank you for being the light, really being a light for real, because you shed a lot on things that it's like I know, but when you hear it and you receive it from someone else, it just hits different, and it just makes you more self-aware, and it makes you want to be more self-aware in that sense too. So I appreciate you so much, Paula. This has been great.
It's really what it is. It's time for you to step out in your light, and we shrink ourselves so much, and now there's no more shrinking. The only thing that can happen is expansion. So what happens, you're getting this idea to reach out to other people that will help support you in what it is that you need to do. So because even for me, I'm learning how to get more visual online, because I know the time that we're in, like, it's needed in order to build. People want to be able to know that they have some type of trust. And the only way that happens is like when you have these contacts and communication. So I'm learning to be, a little more visual, but I couldn't do it by myself. So again, it helps when you have like-minded people to come around, because this is how it's supposed to be done. And I always say, when I get things situated, I would love to have one of each zodiac all working together. And it's like a whole power team, everybody can shine their own individual gifts, and we're all working harmoniously. The Virgos, they're managing things. The Capricorns is keeping up with the money. The Aries is making sure business is handled and they're inspiring action. Our Pisces are our visionaries. Our Aquarius, like, everybody has their purpose to meet a common goal. And that's what's happening right now. Right now, us three doing this, shedding insight, our story, our journey, to bless everyone that's on here. They're going to take this information, whether they communicate it or not, it's resonating on a vibrational level. So when they go out into the world, they're going to feel it. And then it's like a whole ripple effect, all because we're stepping out of our comfort zone and doing what it is that we are naturally being called to do. This is very effortlessly. That's how you know it's right. It's not forced. Nothing was scripted. We hopped on literally maybe 10 minutes before the Zoom. So it's like, that's how you know when things just flow, that they are in alignment, nothing, and what I see clearly is a team that can continue to build on and do other things as well, So I'm blessed, because I'm like, oh, I have 2 more other resources, because this information I don't get to talk about with people who fully
That is the word. That is the word.
Like, can I talk about some transits and degrees without people like, oh my gosh, here she
go with this astrology.
I'm like, well, the moon is in I'm right there with it. So somebody who can bounce back, that can provide me more insight too, to help me, like, it's a win-win situation. So continue to do what you're doing, and like I say, I followed you for a really, really long time, and I'm always able to get something. So when I saw your message, it was like I wanted to be able to at least give back, because you know it's an exchange on social media, whether you physically know it or not. So it's like I'm able to get something from you, but it's like I don't want to just take. How can I pour back into her? Because those posts, I know what it takes to write those captions and the paste and all that. It's work.
Yeah.
But when you know that you're doing it because people need those messages, like it's that one post. I remember something you posted, and it was just like salve to me, and it was so comforting, and it was just like you really don't realize how your presence really affect people, until it's communicated. So I appreciate you. That's why when I saw that, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do to share, to help expand and bring more awareness to what it is that you're doing? Because we're getting back to nature. This is what our ancestors used to do. They looked to the heavens to know when to harvest and when to plant seeds, and they did everything. So now they're looking at us like, they back. Yes, we're getting there. We're getting back to things and not caring what the society is saying about it. Now it's trendy. Now everybody's okay.
Mhm.
But a few years ago, y'all was looking at me like I was crazy when I was saying all this. Now you calling me about things, but it's okay because I get it. As long as they wake up finally, and so, having opportunities like this just helps the collective more and more and more and more. So, and literally the pants that I had is the same colors, the same everything, like literally.
That is so wild to me, like everything synchronizing. Because once you said 8th house placement, I was like, Ty's got 8th house placement.
Okay, I was like,
yep,
that's
got
me.
them.
And then you said you have 2 planets in there too?
Moon and Saturn.
Yes. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. It's very 8th house placements. They're so intense that it's like nothing really phases us to some degree. I mean, it's like we kind of see it all or know someone that experienced it. We have some type of relation to it in some kind of way because it covers so much. And because it rules sex, we don't. So we about to just kind of real quick. There can be a struggle there with sexual liberation.
Most definitely with that. Most definitely with that.
Because them 8th house placements, and this is why we have to be responsible with the people that we deal with, because engaging with someone that has an 8th house placement, you'll be in love, you'll be obsessed, you'll be like, what did you do to me? And it's like, oh no, that's just the nature of the house that I'm in. So it's like you go get it, and it's gonna always be wonderful because this is where it comes from. So being responsible, is this person able to handle what it is that I extend? And with your moon being there, that's your heart, that's your emotions. So even you keep in balance in who you trust and sharing those things, because not everyone is worthy of knowing those parts of you. But it's interesting how that dynamic, works. And then it's the house of magic. So you're an alchemist. So it's like really being mindful of what you're speaking, really being mindful of what you're thinking. And I always think of like a movie projector. So our thoughts is like a movie projector that's put out into the universe. And so the universe will match it. And typically we think about things that we don't want to experience, or we talk about the things we don't. So we're putting it out there, and the universe doesn't know we don't want it. It just knows, oh, he spoke it. Okay, there it is, because that's how powerful you. Oh, that's the vision. Okay, let me match it. I don't know she doesn't want it. This is what she's entertaining. So I have to support her in what she's putting out, not knowing like, oh no, that is not what I want. So it's like reprogramming our thought pattern process every day, because literally we could be good all day. The mantras, the this, the that, go to sleep, wake up, and we got to start all over again. That's where the work comes in at. And so when we put those images out there, and again, I'm speaking to all placements, but the 8th house especially, it's like things, you're a master manifester. Like you can say something jokingly and it can like really happen. So I'm always very selective in when I say stuff, because I'm like, no, I'm not, I don't want to put that out there like that. So I kind of switch it around a little bit, because boom, right there is right away in my face, dealing with the magic. And magic is your own personal power. That's your magic alone, your own personal power. And you can tap into that with your solar plexus chakra. And if you need more information, I can help you with that. But then the magic also is just, what do you do with what you have? How do we, and women, naturally, we're receivers. So anything that's given to us, we make it something better. You know, men give us sperm, boom, baby. We've heard this. Give us groceries, you get a meal.
Okay.
House, you get a home.
Interior decorate and the warmth.
Come on.
So when you have those placements, it's like, okay, you have a higher responsibility with this. It's like you have to be responsible. You can't be all willy-nilly with your thoughts and your this, because it's like Pluto is the underworld, like, ooh, the harsh realities.
Thank you of the underworld, like in a sense, like hell, like we can make our lives hell very quickly. Like I've been to experiences. I see how I put it on myself, just like you said, off of thoughts and projecting certain feelings. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I bringing to myself? Like, I don't like living in that state, because that's a suffer, like 8th house of suffering. Like, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be suffering. So let me, change. And it's Aries there, so I got to change certain actions. I can't just be so quick to do stuff. I got to really like sit with myself. Saturn is, I really got to sit with myself sometimes and be like, okay, you're fearing the transformation. Why are you fearing the transformation? If you know that you want to feel better and you know you don't want to experience this reality anymore, why? What is the hesitancy? Where's the fear? Where's it coming from?
And it always seems to rely on comfort.
Yes, it's like, and even I laugh because they say Pluto isn't a planet. And so here's the thing, the planets communicate with me. Like I literally, like, everybody can connect with Mother Earth and all that. But then when it comes to Venus and Pluto and Neptune, there's a disconnect, but they communicate with me. And so I'm like having this conversation with Pluto, because again, it's an engagement. I'm getting something from this planet. And it's like, they're saying you're not a planet, but you know what? I'm recognizing you. And, it's like, because it's so small that they dismissing it, but not understanding the smallest planet is the one that's dealing with the heaviest stuff.
Like,
and that's the one you want to cast and say it's a dwarf planet or this and that. Let's see, can y'all talk a little bit about Pluto? So because Pluto is the underworld, and this is what I'm learning to embrace about me, my shadow self. that shadow part of who I am. Because I don't like when people be like, oh, death to the ego. And like, no. We don't want it to die. We just want it to put it in its place, because the ego is an intricate part of our growth too. So there is no ego death. It's more so I can identify like, I'm operating out of my ego right now, more so like a reflection of that. But because Pluto is the underworld, it's like the underworld is where all the rawness is, you can't sugarcoat it. It just is what it is. And so because we have a different veil, we see the world differently from everybody else.
We literally see the shadows on people. Like, people could try to hide it, but you can literally like physically see the deterioration, or if somebody's upset, you can see the difference in their eyes. You can see the difference in their spirit. It's like sometimes, I remember one time I was smoking weed, and one of my friends, I could tell she was going through a lot because I literally saw a black outline on her. Like, that's how I saw her shadow. It was like a black like outline on her body. And I would see that on a lot of people. Like, I would see black veins. I would see black like little squiggly lines in their cheeks, like in their veins and like around them. I'm like, what is that? Like, what is that? Like, what is that? Like, what am I seeing? And I'm like, oh, this is the shadow energy manifested when somebody's shadow energy is just so heavy, whether that's, they're using it for progressive reasons or, the low side of it. I just see, I can see it sometimes. So I know the more I tap in, the more I'm going to see that on people. And it's different when you're looking at people in the face and you're like, their face is changing, or you just see that energy. It's a totally different ballgame.
We see I saw something that was like, what do you do if you saw people's spirit opposed to their face or something of that nature? Like when you see the real person, and when you have those 8th house placements, you see through everything. And so again, some of that does require suffering, because most of the suffering not even yours. And so that's why I always have to check in when I'm feeling some kind of way. It's like, wait a minute, this isn't my stuff. So I have to go through a process, like, and then figure out like, oh, I had that conversation with such and such. Make sure I return their stuff back to them, because a lot of times people will vent. They will dump all their stuff on you. They hang up. Okay, talk to you later. They're feeling good. You're left with their stuff, in addition to your own stuff that you're dealing with, in addition to the world that's going on, addition to every time you scroll and you see a little story, all of that just stays and stays. And then before you know it, you're feeling some kind of way and you don't know why. So it's like, okay, I have to be sure when I hang up the phone with people, I give them all their stuff back. That is your problem. That is your, circumstance. Sometimes I communicate. I don't have the space to hold, this conversation right now. Like, before you go into your spiel, like things like that, because I know that suffering. I see a stray dog and be sad all day, or I see the homeless. Like, it's just. And so for children that have 8th house placements, having those conversations are really important, so they can talk about the things that they're feeling, because it's also makes very internalized, it's like very within, that suffering in silence type of thing, like not telling anybody, not having an appetite, and not even knowing why you can't eat. And it's because you done processed everything. So it's really, it speaks to your spiritual stamina and your spiritual strength. And it's more you're being entrusted, because not everybody can deal with these Pluto and 8th Scorpio, Pluto and 8th house placements, and 12th house in Pisces. So those two, it's like, I feel like people need to deal with them a little differently, I would say, because they are processing the underworld stuff. Everybody else sees the rainbow and unicorns.
I don't be seeing that.
But
my everyday life, I'm not seeing that at all.
We see the stuff. I try to stay where the rainbows and unicorns are, but like life is showing me like, ooh, this is what's going on.
The cobwebs, the spiders, the snakes, the goblins,
everything.
That's what we be seeing.
You get the variety. It's crazy, because I was gonna write a story about I don't know. It's a lot, but I was gonna write the story and I was gonna incorporate the different planets. Like they'd have to travel to different planets. And I had touched on Neptune, and then with Neptune, it was kind of like, yes, you have these beautiful things, but you also have these not so beautiful things too that you also have to incorporate into this planet, because it's like, yeah, it can be beautiful, but it can also get real ugly real quick. So yeah, that's how I feel about life too. It's like you can have the highest of highs, you can have the lowest of lows. It's a roller coaster ride, honestly.
And then with Neptune, there's a lot of delusion that can take place. And I'm guilty of it because my moon is Neptune ruled, my sun is Neptune ruled pretty much. And we see the world, although we may have like the eighth house places, we see the world as the world should be and not how it really is. So those rose colored glasses, you know, when you say you kind of romanticize and see things for, because it's like, I fall in love so quick. It be real love. It be real love. But I fall in love quick. Like I know right away, like, ooh, I love that's that Pisces. Like you just have a whole little story you make up. It's like, Paula, are you here? Hello. I have to wear hematite to ground me because I'll be like, where you at? This is what's really going on. So it's that balance between like the harsh reality of life and then that Neptune dreamy energy that says, oh no, this is, you know, this is how it is. And now that Neptune is in retrograde, a lot of people rose colored glasses have come off and they're seeing things for what they really are. You know, they're saying, maybe I'm not happy in this marriage. They're saying, I'm not happy in this career. They're saying, I'm not happy with myself or what changes. It's like those harsh realities. It's like, okay, now that I know, what do I do with all of it? I'm in this relationship and I'm not happy. Okay, where do I go? What do I do? You know, so people are being faced with a lot of different things in addition to the Libra season, which says, hey, what are you going to do to create more harmony and balance? You might got to take that weight off. Ooh.
Yeah. It's exalted in Saturn. It's the exaltation in Saturn. Got to take that weight off.
We hold on to stuff that it's like, it's dead weight. Because it's a lot of people are stuck in the timeline, these time frames, like, oh, I've known them for 15 years. So that outweighs it's like, no, because you can meet somebody in a month and they make a huge difference. Time, it don't mean nothing, you know. It's like breaking out of these constructs that hold us bound to certain things, you know, especially in relationships and what that may look like. You know, your relationships, all relationships, but especially your partnerships, you should feel your safest. Yes. You should feel your safest, and what that looks like in you expressing that safety, you know, right away, you know, and everybody's on their own journey. So there are making sure that our expectations are realistic, because sometimes we put too much on our partners that's not even for them. And I do talk to the ladies about certain things that they desire from a man that they don't even do for themselves. That's out of alignment.
I talk about that so much.
Expect someone to adorn you with gifts and flowers and tell you how beautiful you are, and you don't even acknowledge your own beauty. You don't even buy yourself a flower. You don't, because I'm not waiting on nobody to tell me I'm beautiful. I pass by the mirror like, okay. I affirm myself, and then my partner affirms what I already affirm. I'm not waiting for anyone to do it. So by me operating that way, when he comes along, he's like, oh, she on her shit. Let me add. Let me add. I'm not waiting empty-handed, waiting. Like, and that's what's we're women, some I should say, are doing things out of order. It's like, how dare, like, it sounds like a little nervy. Like, how you gonna expect somebody to do something for you that you don't even do for yourself? Like,
yeah,
that's a problem that we don't talk about, you know. It's like we put so much on the man, and we're not taking responsibility how we show up in the relationship. We want a man that's healed and emotionally mature, but then we act out and we not doing our healing. Like, that's not fair. He deserves a healthy partner too.
Right.
You know, so much is focused on that, not even thinking about what it's like being a man in this world and what that pressure is, not minimizing the women, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But we have to speak to what we are desiring from our partners and not taking in consideration what they're dealing with. Men want peace. They don't care how big your butt is. They don't care how big your breasts are. They don't care if you got weave down to your feet. They don't care about none of that. When they are with you, is it peaceful?
Or not? That's it. That's
what it all comes down to.
And she said men.
Have an opportunity to talk, or are you running your mouth the whole time where he can't get a word in edgewise, and people be wanting to know what they man is thinking? Be quiet. Then he'll tell you everything.
Yes, come on, Paula. Come on. She better speak
to him. Say it louder. Say it louder.
She been preaching.
So I'm like, you want
this.
the ideal relationship, you got to become the ideal partner. It's only right. Like, how are you showing up to the game? Like, some of the women is showing up real raggedy, real raggedy, and they want top-notch men. And it's like, no. And then their feelings get hurt when things don't work out. Then they use manipulative practices because they haven't been taught to communicate how they feel. Because I'd be like, I need attention. I communicate it. I don't do certain things to get attention.
Right.
Yeah, just say,
hey, I need attention right now. But we're not taught that.
Right.
So it's like, we got to do our part and go back to the little girl where she was seen, where she felt valued. So we don't have to seek validation from a man. No, he doesn't validate me. He affirms what I already am.
Yes.
He makes me love me more.
Ooh.
That's
everything. Why I love him,
Ooh.
because he make me love me more. He make me see me better, not the other way around.
Right.
So it's like getting through all of that junk, and people are wondering why they are not in proper partnerships. You're not in alignment with you disconnected from yourself. It's out of order. How do you that's like, you have a partner. It's been 3 weeks. He ain't called you. He don't want to see you. You'll feel some kind of way. But we do that with ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't check in with ourselves. We go weeks. We'll be like,
what?
Hello?
People going years. People going years now.
Lifetimes.
Without
like, it's crazy.
What?
But then you want your partner to good morning text you, and you don't even tell yourself good morning when you wake up.
Expressing no gratitude for the fact that you just got yourself up out the bed.
You got
and
an attitude because you get your Grand Rising text. Queen of the Motherland text. You better. I wake up and it's a whole ritual with me. And then if you want to add to that, that's wonderful. I appreciate it, but it's already there. It's already coming. So it starts with the woman. It starts because we raised the nation. So a lot of things that we're expecting from our men is like, you're being unrealistic. You're being unrealistic, and you're not being fair, and you're not taking in consideration what he deals with when he leaves out that door. Yes, we deal with something too, but it's a different level for men because now they are the protectors and the providers. And when that is compromised, then they feel compromised. And so if they don't feel like they can be protective of themselves, how can they really show up and be protective of you? And then you giving him shit and nagging about stuff that don't even matter because you feel yourself.
Right.
We trying to build. How do we get past all of this? We know everybody healing. We know that. Let's put that aside and say, how can we come together and build? And what that building will look like to you. And I'm not expecting you to carry my load.
Exactly.
And do the work that I'm supposed to do as a woman and affirm myself so that when I engage with you and you worrying about if he cheating or he doing this or that, all of that, it just focus on you.
Come on with it.
You said, and it's funny that you said a preacher placement.
Hey, what do I know?
It's funny if you said that Paula had a preacher placement because she does. She got a son in the ninth house. That's a preacher placement.
Most definitely.
So, and
preacher
it's like,
pressure.
this is what I've seen like on my journey, and just like these wake ups for me, like, wait a minute, it don't have to be this difficult. Like, it really could be good. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen it, I'm experiencing it, and it all comes with checking me, focusing on me and governing me, and not being worried about what anybody else going on. See, a lot of women are trying to be too involved in their man's life.
Yeah,
And
you can't forget
even
about you
focused
because you got a
on
person.
their own. Men
Mhm.
and women, two different things. Men think logically and rationally. They think from a logical standpoint. We're emotional beings. So you're trying to figure out a man and why he doing this. You will never figure it out because you're not a man.
Right.
You're looking at it from an emotional standpoint. They deal with the emotions later.
Yes, after the
Not that
fact.
it's not there, but because of who they are, they have to think from a logical standpoint because they're the protectors, they're the providers. So they have to be on their toes on how to operate. Whereas women, we're emotions. We are here so that we can be more intuitive to hear. So then we share with our partners, hey, this is what I got. This is, or him giving you his vision and his dream. You take that with your intuition, and then you give him back something that he can move with and see his vision go forward along with yours. So it's a work in progress, but it's like we got to do our own personal work. We're getting there, and this is nothing against women, because I know women be so sensitive.
Women be like,
but
no,
the
you
dog
didn't.
will
You're a pick
holler.
me.
Yeah, hard body.
They be
like,
going so hard.
It's the fact that you even have to say sometimes, like, people be so ready to attack. It's the fact that you even got to say, not minimizing women's experience. The fact you even have to say that is that we see where people's head at, because yeah, you're making great topics, but I can already hear some people, well, men, but it's not about that. Like, we're not
we
on
already
that.
know
Stop
that
doing,
about
like,
men,
stop
because
doing
y'all
that.
talk about what men do and what they don't do all the time.
Literally.
We know it. Like, so how much more do we have to talk about it? Let's go to problem solving. Let's see, how are you contributing to that? You're not talking about how you contributing to why he acting the way that he acting, or how you talking to him as a man and emasculating him. But you want a man, but then you talk to him like a little boy when you mad.
Ooh, child,
right. Respect go out the window. Respect.
Literally.
To make yourself feel better.
Right.
And then you want him to respect you and trust you and be vulnerable.
And you kick him while he's down.
Creating no safe space for him to even do that. Because when he do that, you bring it back up in his face. And then you get mad when he confide in somebody else. We gotta, come on now. I'm not saying any indiscretions is somebody's fault, but maybe you're not producing the environment where he can come to you openly, say, hey, I connected with this person. It has nothing to take away from what you and I have. I don't want to do this. I'm being open and honest. Boom. I respect that.
People have to cultivate that space for each other, and then they get mad when we haven't cultivated the space. You can't be mad at somebody for leaving you ain't cultivated. Or y'all not supposed to be together. That's another thing. People be thinking they're supposed to be together, and they don't even supposed to be together.
You're trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Okay.
Like, no, not everybody is forever. Some people are lessons. You learn and you grow, but there is a lot of attachment, and a lot of women don't like to be alone. Let's talk about it. They don't know how to be by themselves and just be with themselves. And it's a learning process, and it's not anything bashing. It just shows our growth. Like, these are areas of growth we have to work on. And if we're not willing to do that, then let's not group all men in one thing, because it's like, no, some of y'all contributed to that. So we got to be honest and real about that. They wasn't always like that. You know? Is that another podcast?
Yes, it is. Look, next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, anybody?
Yeah, like, like you're saying, like, men and women both deal with a lot of conditioning, and it's like
Mhm.
we demonize each other for the conditioning, which is kicking the person while they're down. And they're trying to show you that they're trying to change. You haven't cultivated the space, and you're still kicking them down while you're not cultivating the space. It's like
Yeah.
how do you expect them to, like, what do you expect them to do at that point?
They expect them to be
Their back is
Superman.
against the
Like,
wall.
how?
Yeah, what do you
How?
expect them to do? Their back is against the
They
wall.
want
You're
to
like,
be
you need to
Superman
move from the
because they
wall.
are
Yeah.
super. They want to be
Exactly.
Superman because they are super. But at the same time, it's like, what are the conditions that you're creating? Superman
Mhm.
can't be Superman if it's what was it, kryptonite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the way. Kryptonite is in the way. You want Superman to be he weakening, but you want him to be strong while he's weakening. Like,
Right. But you holding a kryptonite right in front of him every
Right
time
in
he's
his
face.
talking, you waving it in his face, but you want somebody.
It is very manipulative too. I see it. I see it a lot. It's
Women
what are
don't
those?
get their way and they get manipulative. They act like spoiled brats. Let's talk about it. When a man tell
Yeah.
them no, they really literally have temper tantrums, and it's
Mhm.
like, and you want long term. You want this to be long term. No, man don't want that, because men look at the future. They'll be like, oh, 10 years now. Oh no, I'm not
10
dealing
years
with
of
that.
this?
Literally.
Clocking out. Clocking out now.
They
Let me
already
rip up
see
this old
it. They
contract.
already see it. And again, they just want peace. Feed me, give me peace so I can chill, so I can love on you right. But you got to allow me the space to do it. And some women micromanage their men like they're little boys. Got to tell them every single, like,
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah,
it
they gotta
shouldn't be
let
that much work. It's divine counterparts. When someone shows up, I add value to you, you add value to me. And if that's how it works, boom, that's how we know. If it's a whole lot of struggle, of course, every relationship has their challenges. But if it's more of a work than a flow, then those are some things that you may want to reevaluate. And that's okay. Sometimes things may have to be revisited. Some things have to be dealt with, and but just to show up and want something that where you aren't, that's not fair to them. And I
Right.
say that because they're on the men thing.
and then the
Yeah.
micromanaging thing, I was just had to bring up a point. It's like, yes, some women are trying to play the mother role to men. Don't play his mother. He has a mother. Don't play his mother. Meet
Yeah.
him at the inner child soul level. You're supposed to see his inner child and cultivate that space for y'all, not mother to son. Like,
Yeah.
no, that would
They
never
ain't
work.
gonna want that. How is that?
Literally.
Even on a subconscious level, it's naturally repelling, because it's
Yeah.
like, it's
Wants
no,
to date
it's
their mom.
That's triggering. That's triggering.
how am I supposed to
Like,
be vulnerable? How am I supposed to be loving? How am I supposed to fully be affectionate when you remind me of my mama?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna give you that little hug. That's like a little
Right.
tap tap.
Friend zone you. We friends
Instead of that,
now.
just ooh, them hugs. I
Yeah.
always look at couples by their hug. I'll be like, not judging,
but
but very
observing.
observant.
Yes, observing.
Like, oh, that was a little pitter pat church hug. There's something there. There's something there. It's a blockage.
They just met.
It's the pitter pat church. You know me. I have a like Paula. I have a tropical sun in the ninth house as well. So the preacher placement thing, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
have a lot of similarities.
And another point I wanted to make for all three of us, how you saying 8th house, Scorpio, Pisces, and 12th, all of us have 12th house placements or Scorpio or 8th house placement and a Pisces placement. Like, we all have that. Because Ashanti is a south node in the 12th house. I'm a north node in the 12th. Ashanti is a Scorpio Mars. I have 8th house placements. You said you have 8th house placement. You said you got Pisces placement. Like, we all have those similar like placements.
Oh wow.
Wow. And
I
so
love that.
that's needed. So you all know, from my perspective, you will be assisting me a lot, because again, you all are mirroring certain things that can help me along my journey.
Likewise.
Because again, That is, she
Who
said,
we
okay, the
introduced
family
it? Who we
reunion.
I was
Yes,
just about
that's
to
what it
say
feels
that.
like. Because really, when we meet people, they're just reflections of us. They're parts of
Right.
us, but just
Right.
a different type of form, you know? So it's like,
Yes.
oh, okay, you all are an extension of me. And it's the timing. I cannot tell you how perfect the timing is. Like, it's just so, I'm just really, really excited because it just really confirms a lot of different things that have been cultivating in the spiritual realm, but now it's birthing in the physical realm.
I feel
Facts,
the
facts.
same way.
Like when you spoke on the 12th house, I said, me and Ashanti got that. We might be opposite, like, because she got South node there, I have North node there. So, you know, that's that.
Oh.
It's a difference. So, but I'm like, you know, me and Ashanti be learning from each other. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
Ashanti,
true.
she has to do the
That is so
details, and I got to
good.
be more, because she's tapped in like with her spiritual gifts, and that's something I have to work on because my North node is there. It's a little more uncomfortable for me to like really sit still and get the spiritual guidance or hear from my spirit team and actually connect. Whereas it comes to her smoothly because her South node is there.
Okay. So for you, yours, it'll help when you're out in nature.
Yeah, yeah, whatever you want me to be.
Mhm. That's a fact. A fact, Ty. That's a fact.
Because when you're indoors, it's really easy to be occupied with other things when you're
Most definitely.
indoors. But it's something about being outdoors is a reflection of your expansiveness, your power, your reflection. You're the trees, the wind, the sun, like that is you. So then again, it's like that internal transformation that takes place, but you have to be outside of your
Yes.
normal environment and travel too. That's why travel is so important, because it's when you travel, you learn a lot about yourself, you know, and it helps you kind of create new thought pattern processes because you're in a different environment. So your day is going to look different. Your move is going to look different because you're in a different environment. And it's funny because I talk to my girls and I tell them, like, you know, because I just recently started traveling when they were 13 and 15. Up until that point, I never left my children. But then I showed them, like, this is why mom travels the way that she does. Like, it's a part of who I am. So they understand, you know, why I'm doing what I'm doing or why I'm led to do what I do. And I give them insight on me so they understand, but they know their mother. But for them to see it in an astrological way, like, okay, so, my mom is gone because she is cosmically created to travel. It's a part of her. Sagittarius rules that house. So it's
Come on,
like,
and that's
it
Ashanti
gotta
South
be an
node.
adventure. I gotta feel
12th
like
house
I'm
says.
doing something fun. And it's like, ooh, like when I travel, it just be like a straight adventure. I'm like, me and me, like, do you see that? This is what's going on. It's
Okay.
always an adventure when I travel. I'll be like, okay, what is gonna take place?
And then even with and then I'm glad you said I need to be outside. Also, I feel like with the 12th house, I need to use the sun as well because I have a Leo North node in the 12th. So I'm definitely supposed to be, you know, getting some sun in.
So you have a Leo North node, so Aquarius South node?
In the 6th house, yep.
Oh,
Y'all see how these
okay.
astrologers be just knowing stuff? Like they just be know, like how you just get that from that? You know, that always like mind blows me. That's why I love astrology. I can't wait to be on y'all's level.
Well, you know, the key with South and North node, whatever the sign is, it's going to be the polar opposite of that sign.
Okay.
So that's what helps.
I love that.
Yeah. So right now, my North node is in Libra.
I'm right there
And
with you, Danny.
it's Libra season. So my purpose in life is really being highlighted right now. And I'm seeing it like, ooh, this is for real. And it's like, not the older you get, because I don't like really age, but the more mature you are. And when you go through those seasons, you can really see it being highlighted. Like, oh, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
So it all comes together. So okay, really quick before we close, your morning routines, like how does your mornings, what do you all do in the mornings? Like how do you get your day up and going?
Except for me, I guess I'll start Ty's over there looking like I wake up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So for me now, just recently, I've been babysitting, so I'll get up at like 3:33. And I'll get up, I'll make my bed, and I go in the bathroom, wash my face, brush my teeth, and depending on if I took a shower the night before or not, I'll probably take a shower. And just affirmations and playing some music. Usually I'll just have frequencies playing because I sleep to frequency, so I'll wake up and they're already playing, so I don't even gotta worry about
Oh, that's
putting no
good.
music on or anything. And then I'll come in here and basically just make sure everything's good. I'll sit in my altar for a little bit, connect with my spirit guides, and just talk to them because it's still in that witch hour period. So I get to connect with them on a deeper level. And then I'll make me some tea because I gotta have tea before I go to bed and when I get up. So I'll make me some tea. And if I have time between 4 and 5, then I'll study because I'm gonna get my doctorate. So I gotta stay on top of it.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I'll be trying to get some studying in because when I go to my sister's, study time is a no.
Null and void. Null
It
and
is
void.
literally anything I want to do for me, can't do it. I gotta attend
Oh,
to these children. So, after that, then the rest is history. I go to my sister's house and watch them babies, and that's it. That's all. So hopefully I'll be able to sneak a nap in tomorrow because whew.
yeah.
What
The,
about
the
y'all?
kitties, when you have a responsibility, they will keep you on your toes. It's like,
Yes, like all my attention goes to them. I'm like phone off.
and they require it. That's what I respect about children. It's like they require you to give them your undivided attention,
Mhm.
um, talking to them, looking them in the eyes, like you say, putting the phone down, stooping down to their level so they can,
Yeah.
if not, they will pat, they will hit, they will tug, like,
Yes. My
hello.
niece, she'll be like, "You so ugly." Like she'll say that, like if I'm, because me and her, we have this thing where like she gives me attitude, and I'm like, like it's just the auntie thing. So she'd be like, "You so ugly." I'm like, "What? Just because I didn't do what you wanted me to do, I'm ugly now?" Okay, I
The
see where you at.
the aunties are so needed.
Yeah.
You're the second mother. You are the
Mm-hmm.
second mother. And you'll see when they're older, they'll be coming to you and confiding in you things that they can't even confide in their mother because it's
Yeah.
something about the aunt. Like it's just like
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
something about
Yeah. Because I'll be in my room. Like if my mom is watching them, they'll come over here, and I'll be in my room, and then they be on my door. I'm like, y'all won't. When I'm not at y'all's house, I leave y'all alone. Y'all
they
come
want
over here, they
extra
be at my
attention.
door. They be messing with my singing bowls. They be messing with my cards. They be messing with all my stuff. They don't care. This might as well be their house too. But I love them. They're my babies.
Yes, yes. Like I say, they if you don't have children, they definitely prepare you for your own.
Yes, definitely.
And then, they can be your practice children, like, oh, okay, well, maybe I would do this differently. You can like really support them as needed. But that's awesome. Sounds like
Yeah.
a nice day-to-day encounter, a lot of growth for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah. And I feel like because I have a stellium in the 5th house and my Saturn is in my 5th house. So I think now, because it came to me today, I was like, children teach me how to be patient with my Saturn being there.
I didn't even think
So
about it like that.
yeah, I thought about it today because Jayciana, she had a temper tantrum, and my first instinct isn't to hit. Like I know I see like a lot of parents, like they'll strike their kid for being, crying and all that. And I'll just let her do her thing. And she'll come to me. She'll be like, okay, like I'm thirsty, or I want this, or I want that, and then I'll go from there. But it was one of those things where I was like, oh my gosh, like Jayciana, like, oh my God. So I'm in my head that I don't want to make her even more upset, So it's one of those things where I was just kind of like, okay, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get through to this kid? What are we gonna what can we say? Because she's still, developing, when it comes to communication. So she's not in that space where she's like, I need this, I need that. It's just kind of like instantly, I need my mommy, and I'm like, well, I know you need your mommy, but your mommy's at work. Like, what can I do? But I'll let her get her cries out and we're gonna go forth with it. Now, her brother, on the other hand, you can't put him down. The moment you put Javarion down, he will be right back where you at and be like he wants me to pick him up every 5 seconds. I remember one time I was trying to study and he just kept hitting my laptop like this. And I was like, okay, I know I can't study over here. I can't do no readings over here. I'm gonna just wait till after
Undivided
to do my
attention.
stuff. Yes.
And
Okay.
then you mentioned having a stellium in your 5th house. That's the house of recreation. So
Mhm.
you're being called to incorporate a lot of fun in your life.
True. Yeah.
And when you don't have fun, things become stagnant.
True. Very
I
true.
have a 5th house stellium.
Really? Wow, we got all these
Yes.
similarities. Oh,
Yes, I have a 5th. I call it the fun house. It's literally
Yeah.
the fun house because your life lesson is to have fun, to tap into your creative nature, and it's the house of love affairs. So when you meet people, it's typically like a story behind it,
Mhm. Yep.
and it's that depending on their placement, they can kind of spark that interest in you being free and tapping into your inner child.
Mhm. And I feel like that's my life lesson. Like, I'm very big on shadow work and I'm very big on the inner child. And I'm also into like, past lives. So I do like Akashic records and stuff. But those are like the main 3 things that I'm like super connected with. Like when I decide to like create my own, little facility, I want it to cater to children. I want it to cater to, people that have gone through crazy traumas and, things like that. So it's one of those things where it's like, that placement for me, I've always like avoided it growing up because like I had to grow up really fast. So I didn't get to have fun. I just had to be grown at 5 years old. I had to figure shit out at that time. So it's like when you get older, it's kind of like you get stuck in that repetition of taking life so serious. And I remember just having to pray and being like, God, like I do not want to live like this no more. Like this is taxing to my spirit and I can't do it. And I just remember having my spiritual awakening right after that, and I started meditating and I started looking into my my chakras and things like that. And it just shifted my entire life. And then the moment I picked up my first tarot deck, that's where the fun came. That's where the fun started for me, and it's like it lit up that house. Like that house just lit up. And ever since it's been flashing right at me. So
The fact that you said you have to grow up early and different things. So like that 5th house was already pre-printed there because of that. So it's like, okay, because you had to grow up a little early, you'll have life lessons where you'll be reminded to have fun.
yeah.
To step into your inner child. So that's what I've been doing. I've been connecting to the 7, 8-year-old me. I've been listening to her, like how she want to dress, what she want to wear, where she want to go, and it's just been so fun to be guided by her because it's like, oh, okay, this is nice. This is free because I'm very free spirited, but then I'm very structured and organized, and like I show up in different ways. So it's nice to be playful, and I've been dressing up more, and I've been wearing more jewelry and just flowy dresses and rings on all my fingers and just all of that because that's what she wants to do. But what it does, it reminds me of like who I am and where I come from too. So it's a connection because the universe knew, okay, she is going to have this serious part of life. I have to put this part in her chart to balance it out. It has to have the balance. So the 5th house, my Uranus is in the 5th house. So again, how I express myself is very fun and creative. But again, I change. Like I have so many different looks where it's like, even sometimes I don't always recognize myself or, or fix my hair a certain kind of way or dress a certain kind of way, or even I get on a food kick where I only want certain kind of foods and like everything just comes in phases, but I have to remember, keep fun in the center of it. If I don't keep fun in the center of it, or if I'm feeling stagnant, I'm like, you ain't had no fun. When the last time you laughed? So I'll put on something funny, some comedy. I have an Instagram page that's solely for funny stuff. So I'm scrolling and laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing.
I love that.
Opposed to scrolling and getting hit with this news post or
Trauma
this and that. And it's just like,
yeah. They'll show the most graphic videos ever. Like I remember when that boy passed away on that roller coaster, like the ride or whatever. And I didn't know. I watched it and I was like, oh, and that shit affected me for
see, what I don't
days.
like when it comes to people that look like us, it's always shown. Anybody else is blurred out or you
Yeah.
don't even see it.
Right.
And that really, really bothers me because
Mhm.
it's desensitizing the whole world to anything that's dealing with us. So we'll hear it and be like, and then we go on about our day, you know,
Yeah.
because we're like so used to it because that's
Mhm.
what we see. And those things like really, really stick to us, you know, those images.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because everybody has access to it. And it's like something shouldn't be
Yeah.
seen. Like death
Right.
is very private.
Mhm.
And anytime I come across, I don't look at them, but if someone has transitioned or passed, I always feel some kind of way because it's so personal. Like that's a
Yeah.
personal moment that should not be videotaped. Even when I see people sometimes take pictures at funerals and stuff and different
Mhm.
things, it's like,
And that's always rubbed me the wrong way. My aunt was really big on like she always took pictures of the caskets, and I just made me
yeah,
feel some type of way. Like
it's
and
just
even looking at the
private.
pictures, it's
It's
just
just
like
very private.
It's like, are you trying to prove that you're at a funeral? Like, we don't need to
yeah, like
see
it's
proof that
it's one of
you're
those
at a
things where you go, you experience, and you know decide what you do with that. And that's why like when it comes to cameras, I'm very like I always shy away from cameras. I'm like, oh
Me
no,
too.
like
I never take pictures.
yeah,
Like
ooh.
I'll do some myself, but like when it's time
Yeah.
to take a picture, I'll be like, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But that really speaks to you're supposed to be in front of the camera because you don't want to.
That's
And
true.
the people who want to be all in front of the camera, like sit down. You really need to be
right
but
behind the
you
book, reading the book somewhere.
that's how you
Getting some
really know. The
information.
ones that shy away, that really don't want attention, those are the ones that are typical because it's so interesting. I said something about everybody wants to be a healer and the prophet except the healer and the prophet.
No, but
no, but really. That's how you know, because it's like we kind of asked for it, but we didn't. It's like it's not for the weak, you know, it's not something where it's like, oh, I'm this. And I don't even people introduce me as that, even though I know that's what I am, what I do, I'm still very uncomfortable with those titles and stuff because it's like, don't say nothing, don't, okay, just be behind the scenes, even though I do healing work. So that would make me as that, but it's like, I'm not here to say, oh, this is, but that's how you know, because some people get so caught up in titles and it's just like.
Yeah, because it's like, if you're so focused on the title, what does your work look like?
Right.
What's your work
titles?
Like?
That's a whole other thing. People really validate and put their whole identity in a title. And it's like, if you strip all that away, who are you? That's who I want to know. When you take away where you live, when you take away how much money you have in the bank, if you take away your car, if you take away your title, who are you? Who are you? Because when you ask people who they are, they always associate it with what they do. They associate it where they live, but it's like, no, who are you? Oh, I'm a loving being. I'm someone who's passionate about this, and that, things that really matter, not what you do and what you have, because we see people lose stuff all the time and they don't know who they are. Like they have no other identity outside of themselves. A name brand or this or that. And it's like, and this is not from a judgmental standpoint, but I just can identify where you are. Yeah. And I've been there. I remember, wanting the bags and like all of that serves its purpose. But then it's like, okay, but if I don't who am I outside of that? Because you can't take none of that with you.
Right.
You can't take any of that, which what's going to happen. Your loved ones is going to enjoy all of that. And they may be picking and going through all your stuff that you put so much value and self in. Yeah. Instead of the heart. And that's my thing. I always just kind of go back to the heart. Feathers are a huge thing. I'm like, I just want my heart lighter than a feather. That's always been my thing. You know, when the Egyptians, when they transition, they have that afterlife where their heart is weighed. So you judge the problem. I just want to make sure my heart stay good. That's it. That's all. And go from there.
Yeah.
Now I know you had asked I know you had asked earlier about the routine with that South. Let me tell you real quick. Let me tell you about this Aquarius South Node of that 6 hours. It's all over the place. I'm just right there. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. Because I have to honor the fact that my rhythm, my daily routines, it's not always consistent. Like, yes, it's Saturn rule, but since it's Aquarius, it's not always consistent. I might feel a different way. I might be thinking on a different thought pattern that day. So sometimes I could wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I could wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I could wake up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I have to honor that. But if I do choose to wake up at a certain time, let's say, for instance, I wake up at 7, I will go outside, sun gaze, barefoot grounding. I probably walk around there's like a park right here. I walk, breathe while I'm walking, look at the trees, see what the animals are doing. Then probably after that, I probably come back in the house, take a shower, because Florida sun I'm sweating. I'm sweating while I'm out there trying to get some sun. So I'm like, time to take a shower when I get back. And then I probably do some readings probably like after that. And then that's really my day.
Readings
and
too.
I probably don't. Yes, I do tarot, but I'm learning how to do it without cards now.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we have a lot to chat about. That's exciting.
We need a group chat at this point. I just feel like we need a little,
that's
group chat.
We have to do that and check in, because I'm like, whew, it's so needed, just kind of navigating by yourself. Sometimes you do need ideas to bounce off of, and just different things, because everything is so introspective. So it's good to have that. So I'm excited. I'm very much thankful.
Me too.
I'm grateful for both of y'all because
I know this was so good. Like this was everything. Like it sometimes takes these conversations, So I am so appreciative for you guys, and I'm so happy that we got to meet up and have this conversation, because in my mind I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like I don't know, if we gonna interact, cohesively. Is it gonna be effortless? I mean, am I gonna have to step in here and make talking points, or it flowed?
To me, it feels like 3 friends that are reunited, like picking up right where we left off in another lifetime somewhere long ago. So Miss Danny, you said my rising ritual. So what I do is I'm very transparent. So I get up, I puff a little bit of sacred medicine.
Okay.
I'm very 420 friendly. So I do that and I ground myself. I'll shower and have like some type of water meditation. I'll light an incense. Sometimes I'll pull a card, or sometimes I'll listen to music and like dance. It just kind of depends on what my day will entail. If it's like if I'm doing like a lot of readings, then I do a lot of protection type things, and then just kind of get into a space of receptivity to the person that I'm going to be working with. But how I really honor me is just kind of keeping still and just seeing who shows up, like what part of me am I supposed to honor that day? And then that's how I like really focus. Lately, I've been being directed to really focus on my crown. So I was thinking like, I need to get some black castor oil. And then I went to an event and got this bag full of black castor oil. And then so my locks talked to me, and I was told to get aloe vera. Okay. So it's been like this ritual that I've been doing. By honoring my hair, I'm honoring my crown, I'm honoring parts of me. So it just depends on what's going on. And then I was out and I came across this guy who does readings, and I sat down and he didn't know. He's like, oh, the reader is coming for a reading. And I'm like, He said, you need to start covering your hair more. So that was another thing. So that's kind of like where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
They're my antennas. So they're giving me like a lot of information right now. And then a lot of cleansing too with it. So that's what my morning has been recently, just like adorning my hair, really nourishing it, and just kind of going from there. But now that it's be cold winter out here in Georgia,
Ooh.
that's gonna be a whole other ritual in itself.
Literally, the rituals switch up with the seasons.
What's your Paula? What's your sixth house?
My sixth house. Oh, what is my sixth house? Dang it. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Let me pull it up. My sixth house is oh God, what is my sixth house? Why am I fifth house? Oh, my Jupiter is 12th. Dang, why can I? Oh, my Uranus is 5th. I think it's my Saturn is 3rd. Why am I Mercury is 8th? Like, why am I stuck on the 6th house?
You know, tell what Tyler gonna tell you. Ain't no telling.
Oh, my I think it's my Neptune. Yes, my Neptune.
Okay.
That's interesting.
My Neptune is in Sagittarius in the 6th house. And you know, if you have a 6th house placement, routines are really important.
Yeah. Todd drills that into me all the time.
Like,
Like your son is in the 6th house.
You have to have a routine.
And it's funny, you have Neptune there, so
sorry, I had to smoke my.
And she has Neptune there, so it's funny that she's using, an enhancer in a sense, like that's a part of her grounding with Neptune. That's fun. That's actually like.
That's so crazy.
Wait, I didn't hear your last part. What'd you say?
I said it's funny that for your grounding, for your daily ritual, you use an enhancer like weed, like you use weed, Neptune in the 6, like it's so
And it's so interesting because I have these moments, like I've been partaking for a very, very long time in life. And so I've had moments where I have to like make sure that it wasn't anything that was a addictive behavior and something that is an intricate part in me grounding. And so I have moments where if I don't, I'm fine. Like, it's not like I get irritable or mean or anything like that, but I see how it enhances me. It opens me up creatively. It's an intricate part of me. So it start my day like, little puff. Don't even have to take a whole lot. Boom, boom, boom. It allows me to sit down and ground myself, because if not,
yeah.
I feel that. Yeah, so I need to figure out what can help me with that. Because I got the air sign in the 6. So I'm assuming meditation or like journaling, I'm assuming, because
air sign in the 6th house. So that would be journaling, anything that has to do with communication, like speaking, creative, like ideas. So maybe that's the opportunity where you just journal all of your creative ideas that'll be coming to you. And the 6th house is the house of service. So it's like, okay, how can I best serve those around me? So like I say, communication, that's a huge, every time I look at you, it's like communication is a big thing where you have been entrusted with the responsibility of translating information. And that's what you do anyway. So anything's in a line along the line of that is really, I would say, helpful. Get you a nice journal book, because it has to be something that's physically appealing to you. You know,
Yes,
a good pen
yes.
that writes really good, where you just feel like, okay, you're doing something. Because any old notebook with a pencil, that thing will sit up in the corner somewhere and collect dust. It gotta
I got
be
several. I
very
got
like
several just in there.
meaningful in order for you to like really
Yeah, I will not.
engage.
I will not touch it.
Do you
That
have
makes a lot of sense.
digestive
Thank you. That makes a
issues
lot of sense.
at all?
I think I've had like irritable bowel syndrome. I'm a Virgo rising as well, so I think so. I have that South Node in 6 with a Virgo rising. So I've had like irritable bowel syndrome since like a child. I've always had stomach problems. Always.
Wow.
Bad.
Okay. So, kind of finding the foods that work for you. You know it.
I do.
You know what you're supposed to
I
eat.
still be trying. I still be testing.
It's just a matter of doing it, because your health and diet, that's going to be a theme, and you don't want to. That's suffering. This is unnecessary suffering that you're putting yourself through.
Facts. And then that Saturn ruling that Aquarius South Node is in the 8th house of suffering. So it's like, yeah, I see the karma I get from not trusting my body and not feeding the right things. Oh yeah, maybe like, okay, well, since you did that, guess what? Let's zap your energy real quick. Now you'll be tired forever.
And then you be rocking like, oh, I'm gonna listen next time. I'm gonna do better.
And then do it again. Yeah, I know. I had a moment recently, because I've been vegan for this entire month, and recently I was like, I want a gyro. I miss it, and I ate it, and I almost threw up, and I was like, damn. That made it very clear to me that is no longer a part of my eating habits. So I was like, dang.
You gotta, find another alternative.
I have to get creative in this kitchen. I was looking at like vegan gyros and different ways to make them. And like,
it's always it's a replacement for it. It's always a healthier option. You don't have to compromise taste. You don't have to, but if you know that you have this particular placement, excuse me, sir, you just have to take responsibility and do it. If not, then it's just gonna be
it's gonna be that.
Literally.
It's so interesting. He's gonna be 17 next month. And it's like, you would think he is a puppy, but he's very like, this is what I want. You go listen to me. You need some attention?
Yes. He said right now today.
He said you've been on that Zoom too long with them people.
So on that
you don't even know them the way you know me.
Right, you don't even know them for real. You'll be on them Zoom with them people.
And that's the thing. Animals, Miss Danny, okay, when I was talking about the pets, these animals, when you have the 6th house, that's the house of pets. So pets are an intricate part of your growth and your learning and all of that.
Yes, I want a South Node pet. I literally want a cat, because I feel like it's such a spiritual pet. Like, not all pets are, but a cat is really like
a cat. Yeah, like, I've been looking for a cat since December, but I'm like, it'll find its way. Like you say, they're spiritual teachers. They really have a lot to say. But this has just been so amazing.
Yes,
I say we need to do this maybe monthly or bi-weekly, because a lot of this information is needed and we need to get it out there. And 3 is always a powerful number. And it's a nice balance between the masculine and feminine energy, the 2 women, the 1 man, so whatever you all are open to discussing, just let me know. I'll work it out on my calendar. Because this has just been so effortlessly for me. Normally I'm like, But it was just like talking to some friends on the phone,
Yeah,
FaceTime, and kind of going from
seriously.
there.
I loved every single minute of it. I just felt like I needed this. Like this was it. This was
Yes.
the
So
one.
can you text me, like message me your phone number
Mhm.
on the, our messages on
Yeah.
Instagram so I can save it. And then Ty, I would love to get your contact information number if you don't mind, or I can just give you my number because I believe in check-ins,
Yeah.
and just, making sure everybody is good because the work that we're doing is it's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
That is
So it can be shared a little bit, where it's not
Right.
just all on one person. And, you
Mhm.
all understand we're operating under the same type of conditions. So it's like you get it, because it can
Mhm.
be very isolating. It can be very lonesome because it's just like so much change is happening that when you change, you detach, you
Mhm.
have to. So, but it's nice if you can detach and then still have like a tribe in the midst of that too,
Right.
to
Yeah.
check in. So
Yep.
Ashanti, thank
Yep.
you so
Thank
much for being
you.
obedient and receptive to this vision and like stepping out and doing what you're supposed to do because it helps everyone else. I know for me to fall in line to do what I'm supposed to do. So thank
Yeah.
you. It allowed me to share something that I don't talk about that needs to be talked about and just being open to listen. I really, really appreciate your time. And Ty, it was such a pleasure.
Same.
It's just been like, ooh,
I'm over here
okay.
cheesing. I'm like,
Yeah.
The future is really, really bright,
it
all
is.
these
Most
new things
definitely.
that are happening. And this is just the beginning. So I'm super excited.
Me too. I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thanks
Appreciate
to
you.
those that
You
are
all have a
listening on the
wonderful night.
airwaves.
Ty, be safe with the
You too.
weather where you're at.
Thank you.
Very important.
Thank you.
Sending lots of prayers and protection. And I'll be in touch with you all soon.
Thank you so
Have a
much,
great night.
Paula. Y'all have a great night. Don't forget to hydrate, meditate, and I will see y'all next
Okay.
time. Peace.